It was a normal day at kindergarten for children gifted with heroic abilities. They played, had fun, and quarreled with each other as usual, but it all ended quickly when a monster attacked them, and all the children ran away in fear. Except for one 4-year-old boy. His name is No Yunha, and he is the hero of the story. He fearlessly defeated the monster in a one-on-one battle, protecting all the other children. How did he become so strong at such a young age? In fact, he is a regressor, and here's how he became one. The story begins with a man who is about to become the hero of this tale. Standing in front of him is a monster that he has just slain. He is No Yunha, who is inside one of the world's 8 black dungeons, a place feared by all. No one has ever had the courage to clear this dungeon. This place is called the Abyss. As No moves forward, he sees more monsters appearing in front of him. He swings his sword and cuts down a creature. But before he can catch his breath, a snake-like monster suddenly attacks him, sinking its fangs into his arm. No quickly shakes it off, slamming it to the ground. Taking advantage of the opening, he swiftly decapitates the head, killing it instantly. Just as he thinks the danger is over, he spots another monster lurking nearby. It lunges at him, and No reacts fast, striking it with his sword. But the monster bites down on his blade, snapping it in half. With a powerful swing of its tail, it sends No flying backward. Despite the attack, No doesn't give up. He quickly pulls out another sword and strikes the monster, slashing its throat and killing it. Breathing heavily, he looks around and realizes that all of his party members have been slaughtered. Seeing their lifeless bodies, he mutters to himself that everyone is dead. But then he notices a sword lying nearby. Picking it up, he declares that even if his team is gone, he will face the dungeon boss alone. No reaches a massive door, standing at the entrance of a boss room. As he pushes it open, all he sees inside is complete darkness. He looks around, trying to make sense of the emptiness, and realizes that the Master of Darkness must be here. Just as he thinks this, the dungeon boss opens its eyes. In an instant, a hole is blown through No's stomach, and the impact throws him so far that he crashes into the farthest wall of the boss room. Despite the intense pain, No starts laughing. He realizes that this dungeon will become his grave. He mutters to himself that the boss is too powerful. For humanity, defeating the Master of Darkness is impossible. He never thought he would die in a place like this, but strangely, it doesn't feel so bad. He has made it deeper into this dungeon than anyone ever has. No one else has dared to come this far. Just then, a voice shouts his name. A girl yells at him, telling him that he cannot die here. It is Yu Jong. She rushes to him and begins healing his wounds. No looks at her in shock and asks how she is still alive. He tells her to leave immediately before it's too late. Yu Jong doesn't listen. Instead, she shouts at him to shut up, saying she is going to save him no matter what. As she continues healing him, she thinks to herself that it is a miracle he is still alive after taking such a serious hit. But then she says that if she can perform a miracle, she will be able to save him. No can no longer speak, but in his mind he accepts his fate. But he has no regrets. He dedicated his entire life to hunting monsters, and now this is where it all ends. He feels no sorrow for himself, but he worries about his partner. He is about to leave her alone in this dangerous world. He never had any deep attachment to anyone, but the thought of that girl, who has just stepped into adulthood, being left behind in this cruel world, fills him with concern. Yu Jong, in tears, screams that no matter what happens, she will save him. She knows she has many limitations. She can only turn back time for a short duration, but she is willing to pay any price to make sure he survives. Yu Jong begins to perform her miracle. A golden light fills the air, shining brightly. As soon as the miracle is complete, No opens his eyes for the first time. In front of him, he sees 2 figures. He tries to speak, but the only sounds that come out of his mouth are baby-like murmurs. Confusion fills his mind as he wonders what is happening in this place. No's father looks at him and tells him that he was the one who woke him up. But instead of looking at his father, No reaches out and grabs his mother's finger. His mother smiles and says that her child is finally holding her hand. No's father, feeling a little jealous, tells him to look at him too. But No isn't paying attention. His mind is filled with confusion. He starts thinking about what is happening and realizes the truth. He is not dead. This is not the afterlife. Somehow, he has traveled back in time to when he was just a 1-year-old baby. No struggles to believe what is happening. It should be impossible for someone to turn back time like this. Then, it all makes sense to him. Right before his death, Yu Jong must have used her power. She created a miracle and turned back time for him. He realizes that this is not surprising at all. Yu Jong was one of the strongest people, even among the 12 sovereigns. If anyone could do something like this, it was her. Meanwhile, No's parents are watching him. His father smiles and says that No looks just like his mother. His mother laughs and says that his eyes are big, just like his father's. No looks at them and thinks that he never imagined he would see his parents like this again. In his past life, he lost them when he was only 6 years old. Monsters attacked their home, and from that moment, he started hating them. But now he has been given a second chance. This time he will change his future. Clenching his fists, he silently makes a promise to himself. His parents, noticing him making a fist, get excited. His mother tells his father to quickly grab a camera so they can take a picture of this moment. No is lying on the ground, deep in thought. He realizes that he has really traveled back in time. He still has all the memories of his previous life, but right now, he is trapped in the body of a baby. At this moment, he is completely helpless. Speaking, walking, and moving on his own are impossible for now. His daily life consists of eating, sleeping, and doing nothing else. For now, his only challenge is trying to roll over for the first time. Meanwhile, No's sister, Yuna, is shouting at him, telling him to try harder, to flip properly. No looks at her and begins to explain who she is. Her name is Yuna, and she is his older sister. But in his past life, his memories of Yuna are the blurriest. Compared to his parents, he barely remembers her. But there is one memory of her that is still clear in his mind. The day the monsters attacked. The day he lost his parents. That day, Yuna held him tightly and promised to protect him. He still remembers how she hugged him. How she told him she would never let anything happen to him. As he recalls this, No suddenly flips on his own, completing the move without even realizing it. Seeing this, Yuna claps excitedly, cheering for him. She calls him the best little brother ever and pulls him into a tight hug. No is now 9 months old. He has started absorbing mana into his body. He explains that mana is everything. It exists everywhere, sometimes in small amounts, sometimes in large concentrations, but it is always present. In his past life, his body did not have much mana, but this time he is determined to fill his body with it from a young age. Meanwhile, Yuna appears in front of No. No looks at her and starts thinking to himself. He observes that her body seems to hold a lot of natural energy. But this power, as strong as it is, can also be dangerous. If there is too much energy inside a person, it can lead to poisoning. No understands the danger this poses. He knows that before things get worse and more complicated, he needs to help her control this power. As Yuna tries to help him walk, he struggles, but he is determined. She says that she wants him to learn to walk properly. No is now 4 years old. He proudly says that now that he is older, he can walk and talk much better. He also mentions that the time he gets to go outside and explore has increased a lot. No spends time with his sister Yuna. They are outside with a group of children, playing together. Yuna happily greets the kids and tells them that she has brought No along with her today. No stands at the side, watching Yuna interact with everyone. He notices how popular she is among the children and even with the neighbors. Comparing himself to her, he feels like there is no competition, while he is barely noticed. A girl from the group notices No and frowns. She asks him what he is doing there, saying that no one needs him in this place. No responds casually, saying that he was dragged here against his will. He calls her Fat Minji, which makes her instantly angry. She yells at him, reminding him that she has told him many times not to call her that. Her name is Minji, and she wants to be called by her real name. No smirks and tells her that since all she does is eat, he is going to call her Fat Minji. He then tells her to calm down and be quiet. Meanwhile, the children gather and discuss what game to play. One of them excitedly suggests playing cops and robbers since they have so many people today. No looks at them and sighs, thinking about how childish they all are. He doesn't want to play silly games with a bunch of kids. After all, in his mind, he is already 32 plus 4 years old. Just as he is about to refuse, his sister Yuna turns to him with excitement. She happily tells him that this is his first time playing cops and robbers, so she will explain the rules properly. Looking at her bright smile, No thinks to himself that for her sake, he can at least do this much. Later, No and Yuna walk home together, their clothes covered in dirt from playing with the other kids. Yuna looks at their messy clothes and laughs, saying that even though they got dirty, they had a lot of fun, and that's what really matters. No agrees with her. As they continue walking, they notice a dark alley up ahead. From the shadows, a wild dog appears and starts moving toward them. Yuna quickly steps in front of No, telling him to stay behind her. She promises to protect him, but her voice trembles with fear. No sees a glimpse of something familiar. In his past life, he had a memory of Yuna holding on to him, saying the exact same words. But back then, he was helpless and unable to do anything. This time, things will be different. No steps forward, determined to protect Yuna. He refuses to be weak again. As he speaks, a powerful aura begins to rise from his body. The energy surges around him, strong and overwhelming. The wild dog, sensing the immense power, hesitates. Fear starts to creep into its eyes as it realizes that No is no ordinary boy. Meanwhile, No, now frustrated, firmly tells the dog to leave. As soon as the dog hears this, it actually runs away. After that, No finally stops releasing his terrifying mana. Yuna watches in surprise. She looks at No and starts to say something, but before she can finish, No tells her that she doesn't need to worry about him. He assures her that he is much stronger than he looks. Yuna, now excited, eagerly asks No if what he just did was a form of mana control. She begs him to teach her how he did it. Her eyes stay fixed on him, full of curiosity and admiration. No sighs and agrees, saying that he will teach her. Yuna becomes even happier, and No thinks to himself that he had already planned to teach her mana control later, so it doesn't really matter. With a bright smile, Yuna grabs No's hand and starts leading him home, telling him that they should go back. As they walk, No silently thinks to himself that he wants to protect her smile forever. Since coming back through regression, he now knows when the tragic incident with his family will happen. He remembers losing his entire family when he was just 6 years old. But this time, things will be different. He has been given a second chance, and he will do whatever it takes to stop that tragedy from happening again. No begins Yuna's mana training, instructing her to spin a top using only her mana. She tries, but she struggles to maintain control. No watches her attempt and tells her to focus. He explains that she needs to balance the power she is using on the right side by applying the same amount on the left. Only then will the top continue spinning properly. Hearing this, Yuna replies that it is much harder than she expected. No, standing to the side, observes her efforts. He notes that she has an incredible amount of mana, but she is unable to control it properly. He finds it ironic that despite having so much power, she struggles to use it effectively. Yuna, now motivated, declares that she will prove herself. She gathers a huge amount of mana and directs it toward the top. The sudden surge of energy causes the top to spin out of control, flying in random directions. No watches and comments that she still has a long way to go before mastering her abilities. Later, No sits with his family watching TV. While he watches, his mother looks at him and says that next year, when he turns 6, he will have to start kindergarten. No looks at her and replies that he doesn't need to go to kindergarten. His mother reminds him that he made a promise. When he turns 6, he will go to school, just like they agreed. No thinks about it for a moment. He remembers how, from the beginning, he refused to go. But in the end, he had promised his mother. Now he has no choice. He sighs, feeling frustrated. He can't believe he will have to sit in a room full of little kids. Just thinking about their crying and whining is already giving him a headache. As he sits there, still lost in thought, the TV announcer's voice catches his attention. The announcer says that the new year is about to begin in 1 minute. He adds that the start of this new year is very important for all of humanity. He tells everyone to keep their eyes on the screen because something big is about to happen. Meanwhile, on the TV screen, another reporter appears. She is sitting in a helicopter and looking outside. She says that they are now above the Jongmyo Shrine, the place where the ancient king and queen were buried. She explains that this place marks the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. No listens carefully to the broadcast, thinks about how humans only recently discovered how to use mana. Once they realized its power, everyone became obsessed with using it. But what they failed to understand was that when too much mana gathers in one place, it creates monsters. This discovery led to a disaster. In the year 1999, an incident occurred that changed everything. It became known as the end of the century. During this event, countless monsters appeared and attacked humanity. In South Korea alone, 30% of the population was wiped out. Fear spread everywhere as people realized the true horror of these creatures and questioned where they had come from. The governments, laws, and entire social structure collapsed under the weight of this catastrophe. Only the hunters, those who could use mana, had the power to fight back against the monsters. Because of this, a new hierarchy was born. The wealthiest elites took complete control over society, and beneath them were the hunters, the only ones strong enough to stand against the monsters. With this new system, humanity fought back, pushing the monsters away. But the damage had already been done. There were still many areas where hunters could not reach, places completely overrun by monsters. Isolated towns and abandoned cities remained filled with creatures, and the people hiding in fear could do nothing but wait for their inevitable deaths. But in the middle of all this darkness, a small spark of hope began to shine. On TV, they show a beautiful woman walking on the shrine grounds. No explains that the girl is the celestial maiden Imga-ul. She was a former national actress, and she became the first celestial maiden to protect Korea. Before this, there were different kinds of divine beings, but Linga was the first to take on the title of a true goddess. The celestial maiden possesses a unique power. She can control mana, preventing it from gathering in one place and going out of control. This ability allows her to stabilize the flow of mana across the land. To protect her, 12 powerful individuals have been assigned as her guardians. These protectors are known as the 12 sovereigns. At this moment, the maiden appears on the live broadcast. She steps forward and prays to the heavens and the earth, asking for strength to protect her country. As she speaks, she activates her power. The energy spreads across Korea, balancing the mana and preventing it from concentrating in dangerous amounts. The reporter announces that the maiden has used her divine power. As the maiden's magic spreads throughout the land, the sky above turns a deep, glowing blue. Yuna decides that she wants to see what's happening outside with her own eyes. She steps out and the others follow her. Meanwhile, No and their parents stand together. pressing their hands together in prayer. Their neighbors also step out onto their balconies, joining in the prayer. Seeing this, Yuna says that she will pray too. She then asks No to pray with her, but No has different thoughts in his mind. He believes that there is no such thing as God. Since the time he was born, he has only seen destruction and suffering. He thinks that if a God ever existed, then even he must have died long ago. Yuna finishes her prayer and quietly wishes for her family to always live in peace. Seeing her sincerity, No smiles a little. He then joins his hands and decides to pray as well. He wishes that he can stay happy with his family this time. Time passes and No turns 6 years old. The terrible incident that took his family from him is now getting closer. No is now 6 years old and has come to attend his first class in kindergarten. His teacher, Tayo, greets him and asks him to introduce himself to the class. No stands in front of everyone and says his name. He tells them that he is 6 years old and that he is happy to meet them. Tayo looks at him and asks if that's all. He tells No that the other kids also want to be his friends, and he should say a little more. But No thinks to himself that he has no interest in becoming friends with these kids. Just then, a girl suddenly shouts at No. She looks at him and asks why he is in her class. No is surprised to see her. He hadn't expected Fat Minji to be in the same class as him. Hearing that name, Minji gets even angrier. She yells at No, reminding him that she has told him many times not to call her that. Tayo steps in and tells everyone to calm down. He says there is no need to fight. He then gives them all some free time until lunch break. Tayo tells No that he is free to do whatever he wants, and he can even try to make friends with the other kids if he wants. As soon as the teacher says this, the other children start gathering around No. One of the kids asks where he lives, while another girl asks if No wants to play house with them. Tayo watches all of this quietly and thinks to himself that he doesn't need to worry about No. It looks like everything is going just fine, and No is getting along with the other kids. But No isn't interested in playing with the other children. He manages to break free from the group and heads to the library area of the kindergarten. Once he is there, he thinks to himself that he finally escaped the kids and found some peace. No picks up a book and begins reading. As he sits there, a girl nearby notices him and watches him carefully. 3 boys enter the library area. The one in the middle is Choi, while the other 2 remain in the background. Choi looks at the girl sitting beside No and speaks to her. He asks if she is alone in this place again, and if she is reading another book. Without warning, Choi grabs the ribbon from Young's hair and holds it up. He says it looks useless. Young pleads with him to return it, but Choi starts teasing her and refuses to give it back. He begins running around, holding the ribbon high while Young starts to tear up. She begs him to return it, telling him that her father gave it to her. Choi ignores her and sticks out his tongue, enjoying her distress. But then No speaks up. He says that all of this looks extremely childish. Hearing this, Choi's expression changes. Anger fills his face and he turns to No, demanding to know what he just said. No steps forward, standing face to face with Choi. He calmly repeats that all of this is just childish. Choi, now furious, throws a punch at No, but No easily dodges it. He kicks Choi's leg, making him lose balance and fall to the ground. In the process, the ribbon slips from Choi's hand and lands in No's grasp. No then turns to the girl and hands her ribbon back to her. Choi, still on the ground, looks up at No with anger. He yells that he won't let No get away with this, but No isn't even paying attention to him. He thinks to himself that he never expected to hear such words from a 6-year-old child. He simply glares back at Choi, and in that instant, Choi freezes, and without saying anything more, he quickly turns and runs away, shouting that he will deal with No next time. Young steps closer to No. She gently grabs his sleeve and softly thanks him for returning her ribbon. No looks at her, lost in thought. He recalls Minji and Choi, both of whom had slightly above average mana levels compared to regular people. However, aside from those 2, most of the children here seem to have no special abilities at all. Curious, No decides to check Young's mana level. The moment he focuses on her, he sees something surprising. From within the girl, an overwhelming flow of mana is radiating outward. His eyes widen slightly as he realizes how much mana she possesses. Young doesn't just have a lot of mana, her mana reserve is even greater than his sister's. And not only does she have such a vast amount of energy, but she also has perfect control over it. This kind of talent is not normal. Someone this gifted is almost certainly one of the 12 sovereigns. And even if she isn't one of them yet, No is sure that she could have become a disciple of one of the 12 sovereigns. No carefully observes Young, analyzing her closely. He thinks about how, despite having regressed and knowing so much about this world, he has never once heard of a girl named Young. If she truly possesses this much potential, then in the future, she could become an incredibly famous player based on her mana level alone. No looks at Young and tells her that from now on, they should be friends. Young, a little surprised, nods and shakes his hand. No continues to think to himself that he doesn't fully understand what is going on, but one thing is clear, this girl has immense potential. And in a world like this, it is always best to stay close to people with talent. Meanwhile, At No's home, his mother stands in front of a mirror, adjusting the brooch she has pinned onto her clothes. She smiles warmly, looking at No as she tells him that the carnation he made for her is truly beautiful. No watches her, his thoughts lingering on the simple craft he made in kindergarten. He hadn't expected her to appreciate it this much, yet here she is, proudly wearing it. Just then, his mother turns to Yuna, complimenting her as well, telling her that she also did a wonderful job making her own carnation. No, observing it closely, thinks to himself that Yuna is not particularly skilled at making these things. And the next moment she hands him one as well, her expression bright with excitement. Their mother watches the exchange and then, with a playful smile, turns to No. She mentions that she had seen him make an extra carnation earlier and asks if he had made it for Yuna. No responds that it was actually meant for Grandma. As he stands there, memories from his past life begin to surface. He had lost his entire family. He had no parents, yet in school every year he was still required to make a carnation. Whenever he brought it home, his grandmother would always check, and then the flower would be placed on top of the shoe cabinet as decoration. Year after year this routine continued. But despite making one every time, he never once had the courage to give the carnation directly to his grandmother. Back then, he had always felt that if he handed it to her himself, he would somehow lose his burning desire to kill the monsters, the very creatures responsible for his family's death. He had feared that by doing so, his anger would fade away. He had held back until the day she passed away. But this time, he was determined not to make the same mistake. No recalls how the Celestial Maiden's government had once constructed a road leading into a previously restricted area. This road was meant to connect the normal world with the restricted zone, allowing ordinary citizens a chance to enter. Since it was a newly opened path, a significant number of hunters had been placed on standby to ensure security in case of any emergencies. However, on the very day the road was officially opened, something no one had anticipated occurred. A kraken monster suddenly emerged without warning. It had appeared out of nowhere, and due to its sheer power and size, many people lost their lives in an instant. Among the casualties was No's own family as they were on the way to meet with Grandma. His father's voice brings him back to reality. He announces that the vacation is approaching and asks if they would like to visit their grandmother. No, after hearing his father's words, thinks to himself that the day he had been waiting for has finally arrived. No is resolute that nothing can change his decision. His family cannot go to see his grandmother. He begins explaining, sharing a deeper truth about his father's side of the family. No's grandmother is from his mother's side. His father had been an orphan, and No's maternal grandma had been the one to take care of him. No had felt lost and broken, but his grandmother had cared for him, offering him love and support until her very last breath. As No reflects on all this, his father interrupts, saying that the road leading to No's grandmother's home had been dangerous in the past, but now, a safer route has been built and is being protected. According to him, everything should be fine if they decide to go there, and no harm will come to them. No tells his parents that they cannot visit his grandmother. His mother, noticing his unusual tone, approaches him and asks why he's saying this. She questions whether he no longer wants to visit his grandmother, reminding him that he even made a carnation for her. No, realizing he needs to come up with an excuse, tells his mother that he does want to visit her, just not today. He thinks to himself that being a child, he needs to come up with a valid excuse, so his parents don't become suspicious. No then brings up Children's Day, which is coming up soon. He tells his parents that he's been wanting to go to the amusement park for a long time, especially to ride the roller coaster. Hearing this, Yuna, standing nearby, chimes in that she also wants to visit the amusement park. No's father, acknowledging the children's request, says that both Yuna and No have never been to an amusement park. No's mother explains that they usually don't travel far because of the threats nearby. No's father then agrees to take the family to the amusement park the next day. His mother assures him that she will pack a nice lunch. Yuna chimes in, asking for sandwiches and chicken nuggets. No is still feeling relieved yet conflicted. He can't stop the Kraken's appearance, but at least he can keep his parents away from the danger. If they stay away, maybe things can still be changed. Just then, No's mother receives a phone call, and upon answering, her face shows shock. She speaks hurriedly, assuring the caller that she'll take care of her mother. No's father, noticing her reaction, asks if something's wrong. She responds that her own mother has suddenly collapsed. Hearing this, No wonders how this could have happened. His grandmother had always been in good health. Everything had been fine until he left for the Player Academy. No's mother insists that while she doesn't believe her own mother's condition is too serious, she still feels the need to go see her. His father agrees to accompany her. He reassures her, saying he's just as worried about her mother's health and will go with her. However, No's mother is concerned about the children. No's father suggests they can't take the children to the theme park in such a situation. They'll have to head to her mother's place the next day, once the new road is open. No's mother, after a moment, approaches him directly and gently says that he must understand. His grandmother's health isn't in the best condition. She acknowledges that he has been looking forward to the amusement park, but she asks him to understand the gravity of the situation. No, lost in his thoughts, begins to reflect on the future. He wonders if his efforts to change things will lead to worse outcomes. His grandmother has already suffered because of his attempt to change the past. If he tries again to manipulate the future, it could make things even worse. He knows he can't stop the Kraken from meeting his family, and he feels helpless. In a moment of frustration, No pulls himself together. This time, he reminds himself, things are different. This time, the difference lies in him. He has started absorbing the power to change his fate from a very young age, and his capacity has grown beyond what it was before. He has experience now, something he didn't have before, and with that experience, he knows how to fight the monsters that are to come. No, having made up his mind, tells his mother that he understands and will go to see their grandmother. He also reassures himself that if he can't stop his family from encountering the Kraken, then he will face the creature himself. As he reflects, No begins to explain the threat levels of monsters, as classified by the Player Association. Monsters are ranked on a scale from 9 to 1, with the most dangerous falling into the first rank. Each rank represents an increase in danger and complexity. The Kraken is a third-rank monster, powerful, but still a couple tiers below the most dangerous beings. The Tier 1 monster is the one responsible for No's death in the past, a force of destruction that holds immense power. No's readiness for the fight against the Kraken grows stronger as he prepares himself mentally. He knows that while the Kraken is a third-rank monster, it was downgraded due to the increase in power among hunters. However, at present, the situation is very different. The hunters assigned to guard the road are of E to C rank, and they won't be able to stand against the Kraken. No can't simply expect to defeat the Kraken completely, so his goal becomes clear. He has to hold the Kraken off long enough to delay its path until one of the 12 sovereigns arrives, someone powerful enough to destroy the Kraken directly. No prepares 2 weapons for himself, a scissor and a box cutter. As he looks at them, he realizes that these are the only tools he can carry without arousing suspicion. He briefly considers taking a kitchen knife, but dismisses the idea. If it disappeared, his mother would surely start questioning him. These smaller weapons, though, could still cause some damage if coated with mana. Just then, Yuna enters, saying that it's time to go. No quickly responds, confirming that he's ready. Soon, No finds himself sitting in the car. His mother gently tells him to take it easy and rest. Yuna is asleep, but No is wide awake, lost in his thoughts. He wonders why the Kraken hasn't shown itself yet. He wonders if the future has changed, and maybe the Kraken won't appear here after all. He prays silently, hoping they can just get across the bridge without encountering it. Suddenly, chaos erupts as the bridge breaks apart, and rocks and debris start falling, crushing cars beneath them. It's in this moment, amidst the destruction, that No finally sees it. The massive creature emerges, its terrifying form looming before them. As the Kraken's massive tentacles lash out, it begins to slaughter anyone in its path. The people who were on the other side of the bridge are running for their lives, desperate to escape the creature's wrath. But then, the hunters, who had been on standby at the site, appear. These hunters rush in, intending to protect the civilians. However, their efforts are in vain. The Kraken, with a single swipe of its tentacle, smashes the player leader, killing him instantly. The sight of their leader falling sends the remaining hunters into a panic. They turn and flee in fear, abandoning their posts. The civilians, seeing this, are outraged. They shout at the fleeing hunters, calling them cowards for running when they were supposed to protect them. No's father looks at the devastation around them. He turns to his children, urging them to leave the area as quickly as possible. He tells them that if they remain calm and stick together, they can make it out safely. He reassures them to trust him and follow his lead. No begins to grasp his father's intentions. His mother, sensing the urgency, quickly speaks up. She tells the children that they need to listen to their father. They must leave the car in the area immediately if they want to survive. No's family quickly exits the car. However, Yuna struggles to stand, her legs trembling uncontrollably. She speaks up, wondering why her legs are shaking so badly, as she desperately wants to walk. Her father, noticing her fear, immediately steps forward and lifts her onto his shoulder. Seeing this, No's father turns to him and asks if he can walk without trouble. No reassures him that he's fine, ready to move forward. Meanwhile, one of the hunters running ahead of them calls out, urging them to follow quickly. No, along with his family, follows the player. As he moves, his mind races. He realizes the hunters must have seen the true nature of the monster they're facing, a rank 3 Kraken. The hunters are clearly aware that they stand no chance against such a creature. Their main goal is to get everyone out of this place safely, away from the impending danger. No quickly points out that the real problem isn't just the Kraken. As his family is following the player's directions to escape, they witness the player being hit by a spear that pierces through his body, sending him flying. No then notices new monsters arriving, rank 7 diver monsters climbing the bridge. He identifies them immediately. The divers waste no time and one of them attacks a player, biting them in half. More monsters follow, attacking everyone in sight, including the hunters. The civilians and hunters scatter in all directions, trying to survive the sudden onslaught. One player calls out for healing magic after a girl gets injured, but before anyone can act, a diver throws a spear which pierces the healer. More divers swarm the area, tearing into the hunters and civilians, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. No's father, determined to get his family to safety, reassures his children, telling them to trust him and follow his lead. He emphasizes that they must not look back, no matter what. He picks up Yuna and with the rest of the family runs as fast as they can to the other side of the bridge. But as they rush forward, the Kraken uses its tentacles to grab several cars, hurling them into the air. The cars crash down, blocking their main escape route. No notices this and urgently warns his father, but they're forced to stop. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts in front of them as the cars detonate, completely blocking the road. Two hunters nearby shout at each other, frustrated, realizing their backup hasn't arrived yet. One of them asks where their reinforcements are, while the other responds that it's too late for that. They now have to face the monsters on their own until backup can get there, if it ever does. No, overhearing the chaos around him, starts reflecting on the last time he experienced something like this. He recalls how it took the 12 sovereigns 30 minutes to arrive the last time. The hunters here aren't as powerful, but they're managing to handle the monsters for now. However, he knows if they can't contain the Kraken, if it's not dealt with soon, they'll be doomed. No pulls himself together. He tells himself that he's prepared for this, that he's ready for the possibility of everything going wrong. He's determined to protect his family, even if it means risking his own life. Reaching into his bag, he pulls out the scissors and cutter. Turning to his parents, he warns them to stay put, not to move until backup arrives. No's father, still unable to comprehend the situation, listens as No calmly explains that the hunters can protect them for now. No's mind is already racing through worst-case scenarios, knowing that he must leave Yuna behind to face the monsters if things go south. He reassures his father that Yuna can handle herself if it comes to that. Without wasting another moment, No begins running towards the Kraken, activating his Heavenly Steps technique. The technique boosts his speed drastically, but as he pushes forward, No begins to feel the strain on his body. He recalls using this technique in his past life with ease, but now, in this smaller body, it's much harder to maintain. Despite the strain, No's determination keeps him going. He knows he's not built for this, but he's prepared to push his limits to reach the Kraken. No moves quickly toward the Kraken, despite warnings from the people around him telling him to stay away from the dangerous area. As he advances, several diver monsters appear in his path. No takes out his cutter now coated with magic, slashing at the first diver's throat, killing it instantly. Another diver lunges at him, but he kicks it back, then swiftly cuts its throat as well. A third diver charges him, but he slashes it down just as quickly. However, a fourth one manages to land a kick, sending No stumbling back, though he remains determined. The divers keep coming at him, but No doesn't hesitate. He continues to slice through them one by one, cutting them down with precision. As the fight rages on, memories from his past life begin to flood his mind. He recalls his past title, one from a life long gone, one where he had been an undead warrior. With each strike, it feels as though he's becoming that being once again. The memories of his past life fuel his strength, and he continues to fight with relentless force, cutting through the monsters as if driven by an unstoppable urge. As No lands on the ground, a diver appears beneath the car beside him. Before it can attack, No leaps up and lands hard on its head, taking down the creature. Another diver throws a spear at No. He narrowly dodges, rushing forward and striking down the diver before it can land another hit. In the chaos, No notices that his cutter is broken. Frustrated, he quickly pulls out his scissors, realizing that they've also split into two pieces. Running toward the Kraken, he uses his Heavenly Step to close the distance. Finally, he stands face to face with the Kraken. As the Kraken hurls a car at No, he narrowly dodges it. In a swift motion, he climbs up one of its massive tentacles and heads straight for the Kraken's face. He grips his scissors tightly and plunges them into the creature, angrily scraping and cutting at its skin. The Kraken thrashes, but No doesn't stop, continuing to stab and slash with all his might. In response, the Kraken raises another tentacle, aiming to crush No, but he dodges just in time, landing safely on the ground. As he looks at his scissors, he notices that one of the blades is partially broken. Still, he checks the other part and mutters to himself that it will have to do for now. The Kraken, with its massive tentacles, continuously tries to grab No. He skillfully dodges and climbs up its tentacles, ready to strike with his scissor. But just as he's about to make his move, one of the Kraken's tentacles swings at him. No is midair and unable to dodge in time. The tentacle strikes, sending him crashing a distance away. Despite the blow, No doesn't give up. He's battered but still determined to fight. He realizes his stamina is nearly depleted, but he's not backing down. As he stands on the bridge, the Kraken's tentacle slams beneath him, breaking the support pillars. The structure begins to crumble, and No feels the ground beneath him give way. He's falling, but somehow he manages to regain his balance. The Kraken lifts a massive truck and throws it directly at No. With all his strength, No swings his weapon, slicing the truck in half just before it crashes down on him. However, as the truck splits, No realizes his weapon is completely shattered. Exhausted and on the brink of collapse, No feels his body giving out. His vision begins to fade, and he knows he's about to lose consciousness. For a moment he thinks it's over. But in the haze of his fading senses, he forces himself to stay awake, knowing that if he loses control now, all his effort would be for nothing. He can't let it end like this. His eyes close, but only for a second. With a surge of willpower, he opens them again, determined to see things through. This time he vows he will do things right. He will fight, and he will make sure his family has a future they can live happily in. As the Kraken's tentacle swings toward No, he braces himself, thinking to himself that he doesn't want to die just yet. He wants to live. But then, Yuna arrives and shouts at the Kraken, telling it not to hurt her brother. In that instant, a golden light bursts from her, overwhelming the surrounding area. All the monsters near her are struck by the light, and one by one they vanish, disintegrating in midair. No watches in shock, unable to comprehend what's happening. He mutters to himself that this can't be real. It must be a miracle. This miracle is a gift, one that only some people possess. No realizes that in the world he comes from, only a very few people were capable of using such gifts. Now, seeing Yuna wielding this power, it starts to dawn on him that she might be one of the miracle users. A rare individual with a gift that could change everything. A golden light surrounds Yuna as she speaks to No, reassuring him that everything will be okay. No, looking at his hands, notices that his injuries have completely healed. The golden light is not just healing him, but protecting them from the monster. However, he remembers something important. The miracle they're experiencing comes with a significant price, a price that is always steep. No then turns to Yuna, asking if she's okay, and if she feels any discomfort. Yuna, feeling extremely tired, tells him that she's just sleepy, before quickly falling unconscious. Watching her, No notices something alarming. The life force that had been sustaining Yuna is nearly gone. The only thing keeping her alive is her heart, still beating faintly. It becomes clear to No that the miracle she used to heal them has drained her own energy, her life force. No carefully lays Yuna down on the ground and tells her to rest, assuring her that he will handle everything from here. His mana is now fully replenished, and he prepares to face the Kraken alone. The Kraken fully reveals its massive head, its eyes locking onto No. Seeing this, No smirks and mutters that the monster must have finally realized he is a serious opponent. The Kraken lashes out at No with its numerous tentacles, striking him repeatedly. No fights back, cutting through the tentacles with what strength he has left. He realizes he hasn't gained any extraordinary power, he's simply relying on his will to survive. His body is recovering, but he's still nowhere near strong enough to defeat the Kraken. The only thing that keeps him going is the knowledge that his family is safe for now. His focus shifts. He doesn't need to defeat the Kraken. Just delay it long enough until one of the 12 sovereigns arrives to handle the situation. A moment before the Kraken incident, a man sits in his car, stuck in traffic, unable to move forward. Frustrated, he mutters to himself, complaining about how boring the situation is. He turns to the driver and asks if he's sure he's driving properly. The driver responds, explaining that the traffic jam is due to the new bridge being open and everyone is heading toward it. The man, still irritated, comments that he should have quit his job with the 12 sovereigns. He joined the group to fight stronger opponents, not to protect ordinary people. He never signed up to shield civilians from danger. At that moment, the car driver and the red-haired man suddenly sense a strange presence nearby. Almost immediately, the red-haired man's phone starts ringing. When he answers, the person on the other end tells him that he must have already felt it by now. Without wasting time, the man directly asks what rank the creature is. The person on the phone replies that the monster that has appeared is a rank 3 Kraken. Hearing this, the red-haired man becomes excited and asks for the exact location of the monster. Seeing his reaction, the driver starts thinking to himself, a dangerous monster has just appeared, but instead of being worried, this man looks thrilled. The person on the phone starts speaking, explaining that they still don't know the exact damage caused by the Kraken. However, the destruction in that area is massive. The hunters they had already sent there are not strong enough to handle a Kraken. They reassure him not to worry and promise to pick him up soon. Meanwhile, the man steps out of his car and stretches his legs. He looks toward the destination where the monster has appeared and decides to run there himself. The man pulls out a sword from the car. Seeing this, the driver questions him, asking if he really plans to go on foot. He reminds him that the place is 2 hours away from here. But the man confidently responds that he only needs 30 minutes. As soon as he says this, he strengthens his body and takes off at incredible speed. In an instant, he disappears into the distance. The driver watches in shock and then smirks, saying that this is exactly what he expected from the clan lord. He notes that their leader is always eager to fight against powerful opponents. This man is none other than Flame Demon, Kang, the leader of the Blaze clan. Kang has been running for 30 minutes straight, and finally he reaches the place where the Kraken is. Along the way, he kills the monsters that come in his path. But then he notices something, the use of Yuna's miracle. Seeing such a powerful mana presence, he immediately realizes that no ordinary player in this area could have cast it. This means there is someone new here, someone powerful. Meanwhile, No is standing before the Kraken. But before the monster can strike, Kang arrives just in time and slices off one of the Kraken's tentacles. No sees him and instantly recognizes him as Flame Demon Kang, one of the 12 sovereigns. The Kraken, now injured, quickly dives into the water to extinguish the flames on its body. No explains that Kang's gift is flame manifestation, which allows him to control fire. That is why he is called the Flame Demon. Kang then looks at Yuna and No, observing them carefully. He notices the mana flowing around Yuna, and wonders if she is the one who cast the magic he sensed earlier. He also realizes that she has lost consciousness, likely because she used up all her mana. No, on the other hand, has been protecting her from the Kraken all this time. Kang thinks to himself that these two kids are incredibly strong. He feels excited, wondering just how much they will grow as hunters in the future. Then he speaks to No, telling him not to be so afraid. He has no intention of fighting them, at least not right now. He is here for only one reason, to kill the Kraken. He tells the children to stay back because the Kraken is about to rise from the water again. No was already familiar with Kang before his regression. That day, Kang tells No that he knows his reputation has grown a lot recently. No, however, directly tells Kang that he doesn't care about what Kang wants. Kang replies that he just wanted to see if the rumors about No being strong are true. Kang challenges No to fight him if he's as strong as they say. No tells Kang he's not interested in fighting him. He wants Kang to get out of his way, but Kang insists that if No wants to move forward, he must fight him first. No reluctantly agrees and the two begin their fight. No explains that Kang always tried to fight him in his past life. Every time there was an opportunity, Kang would challenge him. No matter what, No could never defeat Kang. The more they fought, the stronger Kang became. No describes Kang as a monster, born only to fight. Meanwhile, the Kraken destroys another support pillar of the bridge. The destruction causes the bridge to begin collapsing. Kang, however, is thinking that he can't fight Kraken while trying to protect these kids. Suddenly, a girl appears above them on a helicopter. She activates her magic, creating temporary pillars below the bridge. Kang watches closely, impressed by her impeccable timing. The girl is one of the 12 sovereigns, Hiram, and she scolds him for calling her Holy Mother repeatedly. Hiram tells Kang that she already warned him not to rush into situations like this. She had planned to pick him up by helicopter, but here he is doing things his own way. Kang simply replies that he had to come here, and it didn't matter what she had planned. Hiram rolls her eyes and tells him to be quiet. She has no patience with his antics, but still, she prepares him for what's to come. A rescue team is on the way, but for now, Kang needs to focus on fighting and cracking the problem at hand. Hiram casts her buff magic on him, enhancing his abilities. Kang, however, says he doesn't need her buffs. Hiram insists that he should just accept the help. Kang reluctantly agrees, but then tells Hiram that he is leaving the kids to her care. Hiram senses something emanating from Yuna and feels it too. She acknowledges it and says she understands the situation. The Kraken rises from the water. Kang, observing this, steps forward and dives straight into the water. He focuses and uses his power more effectively. His entire body is engulfed in flames. The Kraken lashes out with its massive tentacles, striking from every direction, but Kang just smirks. The tentacles burn upon contact with his flames, unable to touch him. Kang looks at the beast, silently mocking its weakness. He unsheathes his sword, and with a single slash, sends a powerful wave of fire toward the Kraken. The intense fire attack scorches the creature, causing it to scream in agony as its body catches fire. Kang activates his full power, the flames intensifying even further. With one final swift swing of his sword, the Kraken is defeated. As the creature burns, Kang deactivates his ability, watching the monster fall into defeat. No, standing nearby, watches in awe. He is ecstatic, finally witnessing the Kraken's downfall. Hiram arrives and tells the group not to worry. She's ready to use her healing magic on both of them. But as she approaches, she notices that neither of them is actually injured. There's no sign of any wounds. Hiram starts to think, realizing that the magic she witnessed before had already healed their injuries. She didn't expect to witness such a miracle. Feeling a bit excited, she starts to reach out to Yuna with her hand. But before she can do anything, No steps in and tells her not to touch his sister. Hiram is shocked by No's response. She can sense the killing intent behind his words, and despite him being so young, the intensity of his aura catches her off guard. She wonders how such a small child can radiate such dangerous energy. Just then, rescue helicopters arrive. Hiram quickly realizes that the situation is under control now. She nods and says that since the rescue team is here, they can take them to the hospital. At the hospital, news is playing on the TV, showing updates about the recent incident. The news report announces that the Kraken has been defeated. The rescue operation is in progress, and everything seems to be under control. No is watching the news. He looks over at Yuna, who is lying in bed. He knows that the exhaustion she's feeling is because she has used up all the mana in her body. If she could get a mana potion, she would recover, but right now, it's too late for that. No feels a sense of relief, knowing that at least no one has died in the incident. He's glad that everything is over, but as he looks around, his gaze falls on his parents. They arrive at the hospital, looking extremely worried. They are staring at No, clearly distressed by the situation. No, seeing their faces, feels a sense of dread. He knows that this might be the end for him. His mother gently asks if he's hurt anywhere, but No quickly denies it. His father then asks about Yuna, and No informs them that Yuna is sleeping because of mana deficiency. No explains that the potion is helping her recover. Hearing this, his father seems a bit relieved. But then, No's father shifts his focus and asks why No ran off like that, why he didn't listen. No feels a knot in his stomach, but he simply says sorry. As he lies there, he starts thinking about the situation. He's not sorry for the choices he made. His family has survived, and that's what matters the most. No looks at his parents, who are clearly upset and angry. Seeing their worried expressions, he begins to reflect on his situation. He realizes they aren't concerned about his actions or the outcome. They're simply asking why he put himself in such danger. The thought of losing someone close to him, someone like family, fills him with dread. But he understands that his parents' concern is genuine. They care deeply, and he hadn't given enough thought to their feelings before. With a heavy heart, No starts to cry and tells them that he was wrong. He admits his mistake and promises he won't do it again. Seeing him like this, his mother pulls him into a tight embrace, her arms comforting him. His father joins in, holding both of them close. They tell him not to make the same mistakes again. They remind him just how much they care and how worried they were for him. No listens quietly, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. The following day in the hospital, No's parents talk about the discharge process. They tell him that they are going to take care of all the formalities at the hospital and settle everything. No agrees to stay with Yuna. He thinks about how his parents' trust in him has completely shattered. As he sits there, lost in his thoughts, a chocolate bar catches his attention. He opens it and takes a bite. It feels like a small comfort, and he searches for more chocolate, hoping to distract himself. Just then, someone hands him another chocolate bar. No thanks him, but as he looks up, he sees the man who gave him the chocolate. It's none other than Kang. No is shocked to see him. Kang is unwrapping the chocolate and casually asks No if he doesn't like the chocolate cookies. He then hands it directly to No. As No takes it, he starts wondering if Kang is really dying, or if he's just completely crazy. He quickly decides that Kang has probably been crazy from the start. Kang then asks No how old he is. No answers, saying he's 6 years old and that his sister is 10. Kang, curious, asks for No's name. No tells him his name, and Kang reacts with a hint of surprise. Kang then asks if No would be interested in joining an academy. He offers to recommend him. No starts to think. He wonders if Kang wants him to join the academy to train him as a player, and when he gets older, perhaps fight against him. He starts to wonder if Kang is looking for a strong opponent after running out of challenges. Kang decides to leave the room. Before he exits, he tells No that he is still young and has plenty of time to think about everything. He assures No that he will remember his name. With that, Kang walks out of the room. Outside, Hiram is waiting. She approaches him and starts speaking. She asks if Kang is really just going to leave like this. She tells him that the event that happened on the bridge was a miracle. She adds that such a miracle has never occurred in Korea before. Kang, however, doesn't care about miracles. He firmly states that it doesn't matter if it was a miracle or not. What matters to him is whether the person is strong or not. Hiram, frustrated, shouts at him angrily, calling him an idiot. Kang replies that he's not an idiot and actually, he is more powerful than her. He reminds her that she has become one of the 12 sovereigns, so she should be careful about how she speaks. Kang warns her that if this event is reported, it will attract attention from all over the world. He tells Hiram that if that happens, Yuna's normal life will be ruined, and she will never live in peace again. Hiram knows that she doesn't want that to happen to her. Hiram is left speechless by Kang's words. Kang, seeing her reaction, tells her that if she understands, she should stay away from this matter. He then suggests they head to a nearby cafe to get something sweet to eat. Hiram, surprised by his request for something sweet, looks at him in disbelief. She can't help but ask if he's gone mad. The day after the Kraken incident, No and his family arrive at their grandmother's house. As they pull into the driveway, No's grandmother sees the kids sleeping in the car. She notices how exhausted the children are. Later that night, No wakes up and finds his sister lying on top of him, still asleep. He carefully moves her off and notices his mother and father in a similar position, with his mother resting on his father. Watching this, he wonders if his mother has always had this odd sleeping habit, and his sister also got it from her. After adjusting his sister, No wraps her in a blanket and quietly exits the room. He steps out and starts thinking about everything. He's sitting outside and reflects how much his mana has increased. He wonders if this strange new ability is some kind of gift he has gained. No begins to remember his past life. He recalls the gift he had was called Berserker. This gift allowed him to increase his physical abilities and magical power the more mana he consumed. However, it also came with a drawback. As he used more mana, he would slowly lose his sanity. The last time No consumed all of his mana, he did not lose his sanity. He realizes that if there had been no penalty attached to the gift, it would have been a truly powerful ability. But he also understands that the true nature of his gift remains a mystery. As he reflects on this, his grandmother appears in front of him. She asks what he has been doing awake at this hour. No tells her that he slept a lot in the car earlier. His grandmother, wrapping a shawl around him, reminds him that if he wants to grow into a better adult, he needs to sleep more. No thinks to himself that his grandmother has always been there for him, guiding him through his thoughts. He then asks her why she isn't sleeping. She replies that it's because he isn't sleeping. Just then, his mother enters the room with a cup of warm milk. No starts drinking it, grateful for the care. While No drinks, his mother talks to his grandmother, telling her how surprised she was the last time she received the call. His mother then explains that she was worried, but his mother is also relieved that she is doing better now. His grandma mentions her neighbor, who is always causing drama, but still reassures her that everything will be okay. No thinks about how his grandmother slipped on the stairs, but she still says that she didn't get seriously injured. She tells him that she's a little distracted, but assures him she's fine. She begins to explain that she felt like she saw No's grandfather, who was waving his hands, trying to stop her from coming upstairs. No ponders over this strange dream his grandmother describes, wondering if it might be some kind of warning. Meanwhile, his mother continues talking to Grandma. No, still deep in thought, sips his milk quietly. After a moment, No's mother asks him what he wants to do when he grows up. As No hears his mother's question, a dark shadow seems to loom over him. His past life memories flood his mind, the countless monsters he had fought, the battles he had won. He remembers all of it vividly, but it doesn't bring him peace. Instead, it leaves him feeling confused and lost. His mother notices his distant expression and asks him what's wrong. No quickly brushes it off, telling her it's nothing. He admits that he doesn't know what lies ahead. His grandmother, sensing his uncertainty, tries to comfort him. She tells him that he's still young and has plenty of time ahead. She encourages him to experience life fully, make friends, fight for what he believes in, study, and play. She reminds him that he has the chance to discover everything on his own, and even if he doesn't have all the answers now, that's okay. Life will guide him, and he should live it to the fullest until he finds his path. No's mother, hearing her own mother's words, agrees. She hugs No, assuring him that his time is in his hands. She believes in him completely. She tells him that his name, No Yun Ha, comes from the universe itself, and with that name, he has endless potential. Whatever he wants to do, he can do it. She will always support him no matter what. His grandmother, nodding in agreement, adds that she too will always stand by him. Yuna arrives and mentions that she wants some milk too. No remembers something and quickly hands over the carnation he had made in class to his grandmother. She smiles, thanking him, and tells him she'll proudly display it on top of the shoe shelf, showing it off to everyone. No feels a sense of warmth knowing he's created something meaningful for her. As he watches his grandmother, No reflects on the wonderful memories he's about to make in this life. He feels grateful for having such a supportive family. His grandmother's happiness fills him with contentment as he silently thanks her for all the love she's given him. A few days later, No's parents share some exciting news with him. They're going to have another child. No's mother explains that they'll soon be welcoming a new sibling into the family. Yuna, overhearing the conversation, is thrilled at the news and eagerly talks about how excited she is to have another sibling. No's mother notices that he seems unusually quiet and approaches him, asking if something's wrong. No, however, is overwhelmed with happiness. He smiles through tears and thanks her. He tells her that this moment is the best thing that has ever happened to him. Hearing this, his father chuckles and teasingly says that if others saw No like this, they'd think No is the real father. A year later, No is now 7 years old, and he is playing in kindergarten, surrounded by a few girls. Their laughter fills the air as No is stuck pretending to be a dog while the girls come and pet him. No starts to get annoyed but tries to go with it and stay calm. Among the girls, there's Minji, who stands away from others. She taunts him, asking why others are calling him cute. She even says they should get rid of it. Hearing this, No's anger starts to rise. He knows that Minji always tries to provoke him. Her attitude irritates him, and he stares at her with growing frustration. Minji, sensing his irritation, taunts him further, asking if he wants her to tell the teacher what he's been doing. No, trying to keep calm, lets out a low growl. He remembers the last time he was at kindergarten. He had gone to the corner of the room to rest, and his teacher had seen him. But instead of helping him, the teacher handed him to the girls. As the game of house continues, a girl playfully approaches them, acting as the dad back from work. As the other girls rush to her, No takes the opportunity and walks away. No steps outside and spots Young. No approaches her, curious about what she's doing. He asks her directly, and Young mentions that she's been obsessing over Sherlock Holmes for some time now. No comments that he knows what happens to Sherlock. He casually mentions that the Sherlock, along with Professor Moriarty, will fall into a waterfall. The moment No speaks, he notices that Young freezes. Realizing what he just did, No immediately understands that he's spoiled a part of the story for her. She looks at him, upset, and points out how much she was looking forward to reading that part herself. No, feeling a little guilty, chuckles and apologizes, trying to make light of the situation. He then reassures her that in the next book, Sherlock Holmes comes back to life, trying to fix what he's done. But it makes the situation even worse. Young looks upset, and her eyes fill with tears. She tells him that he's really messed things up for her. No, now feeling genuinely bad, apologizes again. And then he awkwardly walks away, leaving Young sitting there. No walks into another class where several kids are gathered, playing pretend sword fights. Among them, Choi has just defeated one of the other kids. Choi notices No approaching and smirks, stating that he was waiting for No to show up. He wants to know who the strongest in their class really is. The kids around them begin to murmur, speculating about the upcoming fight. They're curious to see whether Choi or No will emerge as the strongest. Choi, with his sword pointed at No, declares that this area is meant for people like them, and that No won't stand a chance today. He challenges No to pick up his sword and face him. Choi's sword is raised high, and he assures the crowd that he'll defeat No with a single strike. From the back, someone suggests No will be defeated easily, and another adds that the fight will show who the real strongest is. A few girls in the crowd are particularly loud, and No hears them. Among them is Minji, who catches No's attention. Minji yells at No, telling him to die. No realizes that she has always been this type of person. He looks at Young, wondering if she might cheer for him. But then he remembers how he had spoiled her story earlier. As a result, Young yells out, expressing her hatred for him. No picks up his toy sword, reflecting on how, in this world, he is always alone. Choi charges at No quickly. However, No swings his sword once, knocking Choi's weapon out of his hand. In the blink of an eye, No strikes Choi in the stomach, sending him to his knees. Choi, now on the ground, admits defeat, saying that if only he could use his sealed powers, he would have been able to win. The children around No stare at him in awe. He feels the pressure and, in response, tries to act casually, commenting on how great the fight was. The other kids start to shout in excitement, impressed by No's performance. One of them pulls No aside, saying that he is the one who can pull the legendary Excalibur out. Soon they arrive at the spot where the Excalibur is kept. To No, it looks like just another toy. He wonders whether he should pull it out and what might happen if he does. He grabs the sword and pulls it free. Immediately, the kids around him cheer loudly, celebrating his victory. Meanwhile, near a bench, a bloody mobile phone lies on the ground, its screen showing a news report. The headline reads that Rank 7 goblins have appeared, and that the knights are engaged in frontline battles with them. However, the report also mentions that 2 goblins have already escaped. There is a high likelihood that more goblins are hiding in residential areas, and the public is urged to report anything unusual immediately. The children are now playing freeze tag. Meanwhile, No sits off to the side, watching them. He feels exhausted and is on the verge of giving up, but the other kids show no signs of slowing down. No watches as they continue to play, thinking to himself that he is so tired, he might just pass out. Despite his fatigue, he realizes that with every opportunity he gets, he should continue to store as much mana as he can. His thoughts drift to the future, to a world where mana will play a big role. He believes that the more energy he accumulates, the stronger he will become. After the recent events, he knows that there is now more room within him to store this power. No continues to gather more energy. Eventually, the other children call out to him, asking if he is done resting and if he will join them in the game. Their teacher appears, bringing ice cream for the kids. The children excitedly rush to choose their flavors, talking about which one they want as they gather around. No grabs his ice cream and notices that Minji grabbed the exact same one. Both of them start tugging at the ice cream, insisting that the other should let go. No tells Minji that it's his ice cream, while Minji argues that she grabbed it first. They continue bickering in front of their teacher, who, frustrated with their fight, takes the ice cream from them. The teacher scolds them, telling them that they shouldn't fight over their ice cream with friends. Then, the teacher splits the ice cream in half and suggests that they should share it instead. No and Minji, still not quite happy about the situation, decide to play rock, paper, scissors to settle the matter. No declares that the winner will take all, but their teacher intervenes again, reminding them that they should share instead. Both No and Minji agree reluctantly. Just then, Young walks over, asking the teacher where Choi is. The teacher admits that he does not know for sure but suggests that Choi might be in the garden. Minji chimes in, explaining that Choi is probably there, swinging his sword around as usual. Minji turns to Young and asks why she wants to take Choi's ice cream to him. If he wanted it, he would come here himself. Young hesitates, saying that it just doesn't feel right that everyone is enjoying their ice cream together while Choi is alone. The teacher, overhearing their conversation, suggests that Young should take it to him if she is so concerned. Without another word, Young takes the ice cream and heads toward Choi. Meanwhile, the other kids gather again, ready to play another round of freeze tag. Minji walks up to No and tells him that he should join them. No refuses, uninterested. Minji warns him that if he keeps acting like this, no one will want to play with him. No shrugs and asks why she even cares so much. He tells her to go play with the others. Minji tells him that his sister Yuna asked her to make sure he played with the other kids. No immediately understands his sister is way too overprotective of him. The game begins, and the kids play rock, paper, scissors to decide who will be it. No ends up being chosen as the one who has to tag the others. He immediately targets Minji first, running toward her, but Minji freezes in place before he can touch her. Not giving up, No quickly tags another kid instead. Just as Minji unfreezes, he manages to dodge her and slips past while tagging her. Minji is furious, realizing that No has outsmarted her. With anger building up, she decides to go after him first. She charges him, but just as she's about to catch him, No feels something and stops. Standing still, he seems lost in thought. Minji, confused by his sudden pause, asks him why he's standing there, but No doesn't respond. Instead, his mind is focused on the strange feeling. At that moment, the door bursts open and the rank 7 goblin monster appears in front of them. It quickly advances, attacking one of the girls. Before the goblin can strike, No acts swiftly. He uses his mana beam ability to disarm the goblin, knocking the axe out of its hand. The goblin, now fully enraged, shifts its attention to No and begins to charge at him, swinging its axe wildly. No, with quick reflexes, dodges each strike. His mind races, considering his options. He notices the ice cream stick still clutched in its hand and realizes he could use it as a medium to channel his power, taking down the goblin in an instant. But just as he prepares to act, the teachers arrive on the scene. One of them uses a broom to knock the other goblin down, temporarily stopping its advance. The teacher instructs No to stay put, then throws the broom aside and takes down the remaining goblin with a single strike. With the immediate threat neutralized, the teachers rush to grab No and the girl, pulling them toward the classroom. As they hurry away, the 2 goblins are not far behind, still pursuing them. The goblin leaps forward, aiming to strike them down, but No reacts instantly. He channels his mana beam, blasting the creature back before it can reach them. Without wasting a second, the teacher pulls No and the girl inside the classroom, slamming the door behind them. Exhausted and breathing heavily, they take a moment to recover from the chaos outside. Thayo, the teacher, turns to the kindergarten director and asks about the other children. The director reassures him, explaining that most of the kids have already been evacuated. The goblins likely entered the area due to the earlier incident, drawn by the commotion. No scans the room, searching for familiar faces. The director informs them that a report has been sent, and now all they can do is wait for the hunters to arrive. Just then, Minji bursts into the room and yells out that she can't find Young or Choi anywhere. The teachers' faces turn pale, while another child nervously speaks up, saying that they last saw Young and Choi in the garden not too long ago. Tayo makes a quick decision, declaring that they will go out to search for them, but the director immediately steps in, stopping him. The situation outside is too dangerous. They can't afford to leave the rest of the children unprotected. Fear spread among the kids, their anxious whispers growing louder. Some start crying as they plead for their friends to be brought back safely. No sneaks out of the classroom, determined to find Choi and Young. Meanwhile, in the garden, a goblin approaches Choi, ready to strike. But Young, acting on instinct, uses her mana to push the goblin back, saving Choi just in time. The goblin stumbles but quickly recovers. Choi, realizing the danger, grabs Young and starts running. They move deeper into the garden, hoping to escape the creature's reach. As they reach a higher ground, Choi tells Young they need to climb and get to a safer vantage point. He helps her climb first, but as he turns around, he sees the goblin closing in on them. Young is already halfway up, urging Choi to hurry and join her, but he refuses. He knows he has to fight and protect her for a little longer. With his toy sword in hand, he prepares himself for the battle, though fear lingers in his heart. Choi remembers watching a live stream of a battle where the flame demon defeated the Kraken monster. Choi is in awe, imagining himself as a hero like the flame demon, fighting monsters and becoming someone strong. He looks at the approaching goblin, his determination growing despite the fear. He knows he can't let the creature get to Young. With a deep breath, he gets ready for the fight, gripping his sword tightly as the goblin draws closer. Choi swings his toy sword at the goblin, but it has no effect. The goblin remains unscathed and continues its attack, advancing toward Choi. Just as the goblin is about to strike, No appears from behind and grabs Choi's dropped sword. He stops the creature's attack with ease. Turning to Choi, No praises him for his bravery, calling him a real man. The goblin, now focused on No, tries to attack him, but Choi shouts a warning. No, with a swift motion, uses his sword to slice through the goblin's hand, cutting it in half. With a second strike, he destroys the goblin's core, completely obliterating the creature. No reassures Choi, telling him there's nothing to worry about now. Just then, Choi, overwhelmed with emotion, rushes to No and hugs him tightly, calling him a real hero. Young, still shaken by the encounter, climbs up to No as well. She clings to him, tearfully admitting how terrified she had been. A while ago, when the children were arguing among themselves about what would happen to Young and Choi, No took this opportunity to slip away. Using his mana detection ability, he scans the surrounding area and soon spots Young and Choi. As he moves forward, he encounters another goblin in his path. No steps forward, ready to face the threat. As the goblin charges, he dodges its strike and leaps onto a nearby wall, moving behind the creature. With swift precision, he strikes with his own cutter, slashing at the goblin. The creature attempts to retaliate, but No is quick, jumping again and delivering a decisive blow, destroying it completely. The goblin falls to the ground as No moves quickly toward Young and Choi. Both of them, terrified and shaken by the monster's attack, cling to him, tears streaming down their faces. The sight of the creature had left them paralyzed with fear. The teachers arrive shortly after, their concern clear as they check on No, asking if he is all right. No nods, confirming that everything is fine. Later in the evening, the hunters finally arrive, and one of them approaches No with a serious expression, questioning whether he truly defeated the monster. No answers, explaining that the goblin had already been injured before he fought it. He simply dealt the final blow, ensuring it was gone for good. The player, though impressed, expresses disbelief, acknowledging that the goblin was a rank 8 monster, possibly even a 7. Such monsters weren't supposed to be easily defeated, especially by a 7-year-old child. No thinks to himself that to defeat a monster like this, he needs a weapon that can destroy its core from the inside, something enhanced by mana and capable of delivering a strong physical attack. The player asks about the second goblin they encountered, wondering what happened to it. No responds, saying that the second goblin was likely already taken significant damage. He explains that the injured goblin was easy to defeat, and it didn't seem like the two goblins had a strong bond or were particularly close allies. The player remains silent for a moment, trying to process this, but finally agrees with No's reasoning. The ministers responsible for the area where the incident took place are giving a speech in front of the press. They apologize for the chaos and promise to ensure such an event will never happen again at the kindergarten. They declare No as the hero of the day, and he is awarded a certificate in recognition of his actions. His classmates cheer for him, applauding his bravery. As No stands there receiving the certificate, he can't help but think about his mother. He imagines her scolding him for causing trouble just like he did with the Kraken incident, expecting her to yell at him for getting involved in yet another dangerous situation, while No's father telling him he needs to write an apology letter first, and then they can talk. No, feeling overwhelmed, thinks to himself that he is probably going to be in trouble, but despite everything, he forces a smile as he holds the award. During their kindergarten fest, Young is on stage, performing a play about Snow White. The teachers narrate over the scene, explaining that a long time ago, there was a princess named Snow White, whose face was as pale as snow and whose beauty was unmatched. Her heart was kind, which earned her the love and affection of the 7 dwarfs living in the forest. No stands backstage, observing the crowd, with Choi by his side. Choi is calling out loudly in confusion. He doesn't remember his lines. No calmly responds, telling him that his only line is, "You shouldn't eat." Choi, still caught up in his thoughts, admits that he expects this from his captain, that he had hoped No will remember everything perfectly. No reflects on the recent goblin incident, noting how much he has changed since then. Back then, Choi called him a warrior, someone who could lead and fight. But now, despite everything, Choi still calls him captain, and No finds it a bit strange. On the stage, Minji appears as the witch, holding a red apple, and offers it to Young, telling her how delicious it looks. Young nods, agreeing that it does seem delicious. However, the other dwarfs immediately object. He insists that no stranger should ever give anything to eat. Another dwarf agrees, expressing concern that it might be poison. Choi enters the scene. He shouts, warning the princess not to eat the apple, causing an abrupt silence across the stage. The room is now filled with laughter as Choi's dramatic warning settles over the crowd. Minji, who plays the witch, grows frustrated. She tosses the apple as she tells her to just eat it. The apple hits Choi, who is completely caught off guard. He collapses on the floor, losing consciousness. The teachers step in, quickly adjusting the script. They change the story, claiming that it was the dwarf, not the princess, who ate the poisoned apple. The queen, refusing to give up, forces the princess to eat the remaining apple. They look at Minji, signaling for her to make the change, and she complies. In a quick motion, Minji hands Young the apple, forcing it into her mouth. The scene concludes as Young falls unconscious and Minji rushes off the stage. After eating the apple, Choi is carried off the stage, and Tayo turns to No. He tells No that he is the only one he trusts now, urging him to do his best. As No steps onto the stage, the audience murmurs, commenting that he seems a little intimidating. Some of them remember that this is the same child who defeated a monster. It's hard to believe that a kid could have accomplished such a feat, especially when the award was given to him in the city hall. No's mind drifts back to his past life, where he was never looked at with kindness, always seen as a monster. He was an undead player, someone people feared. As his past trauma surfaces, his sister blocks those thoughts, stepping in and shouting that she is there for him. The sight of his family cheering for him calms him down. With his focus regained, No shifts his attention fully to the play, determined to perform his role. No stands in front of Young, gazing at her with admiration. He remarks that in this world, it's hard to believe someone so beautiful can exist. After saying this, he places a kiss on her forehead, causing Young to stir and wake up. The crowd bursts into applause as the play concludes successfully. Everyone lifts No into the air, celebrating his role in saving the play. No's parents arrive and they express their pride in him, telling him he did a great job. No, with a confident smile, responds that of course he is their child. His mother then asks if he has figured out what he wants to do in the future. No pauses, recalling the same question she had asked him a year ago when he was at his grandmother's house. Now, No thinks about it, realizing he still doesn't have a clear answer. Looking at the people around him, he wonders if he wants to live a happy life. After reflecting for a moment, he turns to his mother and says that maybe he will be a warrior. His mother, looking at him with understanding, simply replies that whatever he chooses to do, she will always support him. A year later, No steps into his elementary school for the entrance ceremony. The new principal is giving a speech. No, now in his third year, stands quietly, and Minji watches him with a yawn, clearly uninterested. A bit of banter ensues between them. Choi, on the other hand, is excited, chatting away with the others. The entrance ceremony eventually concludes. Later in their classroom, students start introducing themselves. Minji begins, sharing that she had attended the Doan kindergarten and talks about herself. The teacher Gina cuts her off, saying that's enough for now. Minji, respecting the teacher's request, quiets down and finishes her introduction. Everyone in the class breathes a sigh of relief. Now it's No's turn. Ms. Gina calls on him to introduce himself. No introduces himself to the class, stating his name and mentioning that he used to go to the Doan kindergarten. Ms. Gina, sensing his pause, asks if that's all. No simply nods and says yes. With a small sigh, Ms. Gina moves on and calls on Young. Young stands up nervously, her hands trembling slightly. She begins, stuttering a bit as she introduces herself. No remembers the day they all went to Young's house. All her friends are gathered, excitedly chatting outside. Her father, noticing the buzz, asks them if they had a tough time getting there. He offers to make them a nice lunch and asks if they would like a drink. No notices Young's father and has a strange feeling of familiarity. He wonders where he's seen that face before. The other kids are busy asking for snacks and drinks. Some want chocolate, others prefer mango juice. But when Young's father turns to No, he asks what he would like. No, still a bit distracted, almost about to ask for a cup of coffee. He realizes he is still a kid and asks for a banana shake. Young's father brings lunch for everyone, placing a variety of dishes in front of them. The food looks delicious, and one of them immediately starts eating, commenting on how tasty it is. The others follow suit, all praising the meal. Minji and Choi are caught up in their usual bickering, but No remains quiet, observing them. No wonders what's so special about the food that everyone is raving about. When he finally tries it, he's taken aback by the taste. As soon as the food enters his body, he feels an odd sensation. It's as if his body is being restored, as though something inside him is healing. He realizes that all this food is acting as a potion, an elixir that helps restore mana. Potions are commonly used by players who venture into battles against monsters, as it aids in replenishing their mana. No, still processing the effects of the elixir, doesn't give a strong reaction. Young notices and asks him if he doesn't like it. He quickly reassures her that it's actually very delicious, but he asks her what her father's name is. Jung tells him that her father's name is Seok-hoon. No walks up to Jung after hearing her father's name. He tells her that they should be close friends, and in that moment, he begins to recall something from his past life. Seok-hoon, he explains, is the person who revolutionized the potion market. In his past life, Seok-hoon was the person who revolutionized the potion market, using his gift of filtering to extract mana from selected materials. His efforts were so significant that, in the future, Seok-hoon's company would rise to become one of the 3 largest in Korea. However, he did not remember Seok-hoon had a daughter. He realizes that when he saved Jung from the goblin, she survived, otherwise, in his previous life, she would have died. This thought lingers in his mind as he places a hand on her shoulder. He reassures her that if anyone bothers her at school, she should let him know. He won't let anyone get away with it. Jung nods, agreeing. In the classroom, Jung remembers the events of the past and addresses the group. She tells them that she, like No and Minji, attended the Doan kindergarten. She shares that she enjoys reading and admits feeling awkward whenever she speaks to someone for the first time. Despite this, she encourages everyone to come talk to her. After introducing herself, she takes a seat, hoping to connect with her new classmates. Gina announces that the next student is Siona. As Siona stands up, it's clear that she's different. With ears and a tail, the other students murmur among themselves, wondering if she's real or if she's a monster. No knew that demi-humans is a term used for children who have human traits mixed with those of monsters. These children have uneven distribution of mana in their bodies, and due to their genes, they often exhibit monster-like features. People who have lost family members to monsters tend to dislike demi-humans, as they remind them of the creatures that cause their pain. Siona introduces herself, saying her name and mentioning that she didn't attend kindergarten. She nervously urges everyone to get along. One of the children nearby whispers that their mother told them not to go near her. They don't understand why, but they remember the warning. Now it's Choi's turn. As soon as Gina announces Choi's name, he stands up confidently and introduces himself, stating that he loves to swing his sword and that he is learning from the boss about mana. Hearing this, a child asks what he means by boss. Choi, with a proud grin, points to No sitting nearby and explains that No is the boss of their class and the strongest among them. He adds that no one should underestimate him. Choi continues, hyping up No by chanting, "Boss is the best," while others watch in amusement. Gina, however, quickly intervenes, telling Choi to sit down and behave. She then turns to No, asking him to stay after class, as she needs to meet with his parents. No soon realizes the problem. Meanwhile, Choi continues chanting, "Boss is the best," which makes No even more irritated. He thinks to himself that starting tomorrow, he'll make sure to train Choi in a way he'll never forget. The first day of school is over and lunch has begun. No, carrying his food, walks toward his friends, lost in thought. He reflects on how the first-year mana quantity test has finally concluded. Choi and Siona's mana levels are higher than average, while Young's mana measurement didn't register, so it was recorded as average due to what No assumes must be some error. No arrives at his friend's table and starts to settle in for lunch, feeling a sense of relief. After a while, Choi stands up, declaring he's heading out for some extra food. No shakes his head and points out that it's the 3rd time Choi has done this. If he keeps it up, the lady in charge will surely remember his face. Choi, looking confused, asks No how he knows this, and says that the lady already knows his name. Minji stands up, declaring that she too wants some more food. Choi, with a slight grin, tells her to go ahead, calling her a glutton. Minji, annoyed, retorts that she's not a glutton, and that last time she only took a little less food than usual. The two of them continue bickering, their voices rising slightly. As they argue, their attention shifts to Siona, who has just stood up with her food tray. People around her whisper, noticing the tale. They talk amongst themselves, wondering why someone like her has come to their school. Siona nervously scans the room for an empty seat. She spots one near a table with a few girls. She approaches them, politely asking if she can sit there. However, the girl at the table quickly turns her down, refusing without a second thought. Siona stands there, unsure of what to do next. Among them is a girl named Jin, who is especially vocal. She begins criticizing Siona, asking her what's wrong with her. The other girls join in, one of them calling Siona out for trying to sit at their table. Another girl taunts her about her appearance, asking if she picked up her clothes from the trash. Siona's hands tremble slightly as the girl's harsh words echo around her. Siona stands there and nervously apologizes. Minji, who has been observing the situation, steps in. She looks at Jin and speaks up, reminding her that just because she comes from a wealthy background doesn't give her the right to treat others this way. No watches in silence as the crowd laughs at Siona, who's clearly uncomfortable. He remembers one moment from his past. No listens as the man across from him, who is a demi-human himself, claims that not all demi-humans are kind. He continues, saying that there may be kind individuals among them, even kind children, but the majority are not. No watches him in silence before asking what comes next. The man frowns and insists that demi-humans shouldn't be treated better just because of what they are. If No cares so much, he should stop now. No asks if the man thinks he is kind, but the man shakes his head, saying he misunderstood. No suddenly stands. The man flinches, startled. No draws his sword and asks if he looks weak. Panic flashes as he raises his hands defensively, quickly denying it. He stammers, asking why No is so hostile. No points at him and tells him to get out and go on patrol unless he wants to suffer the consequences. The man quickly agrees and hurries away. Deep within the abyss, someone cuts down a monster. The demi-human comments on the monster's strength, like all the others in this cursed place. Looking down, he suddenly freezes in horror as the creature counterattacks. A sharp limb slashes across his chest. The monster glares aggressively, preparing for another strike. No dashes forward, swinging his sword, slashing through the bug creature. The beast is sent flying but quickly retaliates. No dodges, gripping his sword tightly. He moves in, delivering a final, fatal blow. The demi-human, Parang, collapses as he calls out to him. No rushes to him, lifting him onto his back. Parang weakly tells him to move ahead. He has come too far, and this is no time to hesitate. A girl holding a staff runs over, but before No can ask for help, Parang interrupts. The girl bites her lips, watching in horror. Parang reminds No that he knows these wounds well. His breathing is ragged as he says that the reason they die is to keep killing more monsters. No clenches his jaw and asks for Parang's last words. He asks if No remembers what he said, that not all demi-humans are good, and he shouldn't be treated differently just because of what he is. Parang grits his teeth, saying there are more bad demi-humans in the world than No realizes. But he still should not turn them all away. Parang's voice weakens. He says that in the end, he was no different from the rest. His hand falls limp, and the last words he utters are that he is truly evil. No stares at his friend's lifeless body, his hands tightening into fists. No is still confused about why he remembered that moment from his past, but he knows what he must do now. He stands up and walks towards Siona, taking her plate from her and telling her there's an empty seat. Surprised, Siona hesitates but then quickly pulls her hand back, apologizing. No reassures her, saying it's fine, and they walk away. Siona, still uneasy, thanks him but warns that helping her might not be good for him. No dismisses her concern. Jin watches them leave and asks her which kindergarten they are from. Another girl chimes in, mentioning that it's indeed the same kindergarten, and suggests they could gather information on No and his friends if needed. Jin says she can already tell from the way No has brought Siona to his table, including her and his friend circle, that No is from a much lower status. Siona is introduced to everyone around the table, and Jung offers her a drink, welcoming her as a friend. No's group of friends seems pleased with the new addition. Siona drinks the tea Jung gave her, still slightly teary. Later, the group goes to the playground. No tells them he's going to teach them how to suppress their mana and hide their presence. Siona admits she doesn't know how to control her mana. No reassures her, saying she knows how to hide her energy. He then instructs the group to practice by hiding their presence in the open area of the playground, without using the buildings for cover. The game of hide-and-seek begins. No counts to 100 while the others hide. Once he finishes counting, he starts searching for them. He quickly finds Choi, Minji, and Yuna with ease. He realizes that Siona and Jung are the only ones left. Jung does a great job hiding her presence. No can't feel her at all. He decides to find Siona first. While searching, No hears some rustling from behind a bush. He rushes toward it, but when he checks, no one is there. Siona has already sprinted away. No chases after her, calling her name, but she keeps running. He tries to catch her, but Siona leaps away, telling him she won't stop until he catches her with his own hands. No sees that the three who were caught are watching him. Minji, Yuna, and Choi are ready to make their move. They know No has already caught them, and now they're running in the opposite direction. No, frustrated, chases after them. He's determined to catch them all. Meanwhile, Jung enters a building. She hides her presence, making sure no one can sense her. She's about to leave the building, but stops when she notices a stack of books in a room. Intrigued, she enters. The room is filled with books. Her eyes fall on a red book that catches her attention. The title reads Alice in Wonderland, and she is immediately drawn to it. An old man arrives, and she's shocked to see him. They sit together for a long time, and he begins telling her stories about Alice in Wonderland. Meanwhile, No has been searching for her and finally finds his way to the room. He calls out to her. Jung, lost in the stories that the old man is sharing, doesn't notice No. He's been looking for her for a long time but finally finds her. No greets her with a sense of urgency, explaining that she disappeared while playing with her friends, and that's why he's been searching for her. The old man responds, telling her that if she was playing with her friends, she should have told him first. Jung apologizes, explaining that she forgot. Hearing this, Choi gets angry and scolds her. No taps her forehead with his finger and warns her to inform him next time before she leaves. Young, almost about to cry, agrees and asks for his forgiveness. No turns to the old man and apologizes for the interruption, to which the old man dismisses it, saying there's no need to worry. He admits he's been quite bored and invites Young to come back. Young, excited, asks if she can return the next day to finish reading the book. The old man agrees. No tells Young it's time to go home. Just then, the old man asks if he can drop them to their house. The old man calls for a car, and as soon as it arrives, Choi, Young, and Siona step inside. The car is sleek and luxurious. Watching it leave, No mutters that he has never been in such an expensive car before and admits that he's a little jealous. Few days later at school, teacher Gina suddenly announces that she is putting No's name forward as a candidate for class president. No immediately asks why she is writing his name. Before he can argue, Minji informs him that someone nominated his name. Confused, he asks who said that, and Minji gestures toward Choi. No turns furious but decides to do something about Choi later. Choi tries to back out, but the teacher informs the class that No is the only candidate for class president this semester. She then asks if anyone else would like to nominate themselves, but no one speaks up. Jin slowly raises her hand and turns to No, saying she would also like to run as a candidate. Sometime later, Jin enters the classroom, bringing a huge box of burgers. She casually mentions that her father has already paid for them, and they're for everyone to enjoy. She and her friends begin distributing the burgers throughout the class. Jin adds that if she becomes class president, she'll treat everyone to burgers once a month, encouraging the class to vote for her. No watches everything from the side along with his friends. When Jin approaches to offer him a burger, he refuses and walks away. As he glances around, he notices Choi holding a burger, his mouth watering, but after a moment, he reluctantly gives it back. Minji comments that she's not homeless, rejecting the offer, and Young also declines. Seeing this, No feels a little motivated and thinks that maybe he should at least give it a try. Later, the class heads out for a school trip. Their teacher Gina gathers everyone and instructs them to give their attendance when she calls their names. She begins by calling out the class president's name first. Jin raises her hand, confirming that she is officially this year's class president. Meanwhile, No, now the vice president, is frustrated by the outcome. Later, their teacher guides the students around the mountain they are visiting for their field trip. She takes them through scenic spots, allowing them to explore the area. Eventually, they stop for lunch break. As No opens his lunchbox, he notices a note inside that reads, "Love you." Seeing this, Minji teases him, saying how sweet it is that his sister loves him so much. No tells her to be quiet. Young's lunch stands out as the most beautifully prepared, making No certain that her father must have made it. Meanwhile, Choi casually comments that cup noodles are the best food for a field trip. Hearing this, Minji asks if his mother didn't pack a lunch for him. Choi simply nods, explaining that his mom told him cup noodles were the best. No and Minji grow quiet, exchanging glances. No thinks that Choi's mother doesn't care much for him, not even bothering to prepare his lunch. No, trying to cheer him up, agrees that cup noodles are the best. Deep in the mountains, a man is being chased by monsters. He runs as fast as he can, but his foot catches on something, causing him to fall. When he looks up, he sees the creatures closing in. Rank 7 monsters, vicious hounds feared for their brutality. Terrified, he stumbles back, calling for help. But before he can react, a larger presence looms behind him. Turning around, he finds himself face to face with an even stronger beast, a rank 6 hellhound, the leader of the pack. The monstrous hounds waste no time lunging at him. Within moments, they tear him apart, devouring him completely. The hellhound leader suddenly commands the others to stop. The lesser hounds immediately freeze. The leader then gives a new order. They must head south. And southward is exactly where No and his group are. Meanwhile, the students begin their treasure hunt activity. No has no interest in participating and would rather leave, but he gets dragged along by his classmates. Annoyed, he reluctantly follows along. Suddenly, a loud scream echoes through the area. Everyone stops and starts murmuring about what it could be. No, keeping a cool head, tells them all to stay quiet. As they scan their surroundings, a monster approaches, moving swiftly toward them. When they look ahead, they see a hound standing right in their path. No already knew that monsters would eventually show up here, but he had no way of knowing the exact day. Frustrated, he thinks why it had to be today. The Buchan Mountain incident was a major disaster. Seoul was supposed to be protected by a cocoon-like barrier, but for some unknown reason, monsters from the nearby districts managed to break through and enter Seoul. The result was tragic, leading to countless casualties. The hellhound's eyes lock onto Minji first. It leaps at her and Minji stumbles as her foot catches on a rock, making her fall backward. Just before the hellhound can reach her, No charges in and lands a powerful kick, sending the creature flying. Without wasting a moment, he attacks it repeatedly with his fork, striking over and over until he finally kills it. Turning to Minji, he asks if she's okay. Minji quickly nods, but Choi steps in, saying they should be asking him instead. He then comments that No's actions just now were completely unlike the boss he knows. No simply replies that he was just caught a little off guard. No realizes that Choi saw something he shouldn't have. In that moment, when he killed the monster, he had become the undead version of himself from his past life, a player consumed by hatred for monsters. He had just revealed a side of himself that he never wanted anyone to see. Before he can dwell on it further, more monstrous roars echo through the area. The sound grows louder, signaling the approach of even more creatures. Choi, alarmed, asks what they should do, while Minji immediately insists that their only option is to run. No agrees it makes sense to escape first. But he knows that hounds always move in packs, and now an entire group of them is descending from the top of the mountain. If they stick together, he might not be able to protect everyone. There's only one option left. He takes a deep breath and tells everyone to listen carefully to what he's about to say. Meanwhile, another group of students continue their treasure hunt. Meanwhile, Jin spreads her handkerchief over a rock and sits down, watching her friends as she casually tells them to hurry up and find the treasure. Jin's friends make excuses, saying they need a break and that searching for the treasure is too much effort. But as soon as she glares at them, they quickly get back to work, resuming their search without further complaints. Just then, Jin notices a group of students running toward her, screaming in panic. At the same time, a pack of hellhounds emerge, chasing them down. The terrified students rush past her, leaving her frozen in place. Before she can react, one of the hellhounds leaps straight at her, ready to strike. But before it can land its attack, a gunshot rings out. The bullet strikes the hellhound, killing it instantly. Though still shaken, Jin quickly realizes who fired the shot. No lowers his gun and looks at her. He tells her that if she doesn't want to die, she should get down the mountain immediately. Jin trembles with fear, struggling to steady herself. No, looking at her coldly, tells her that he has already done enough. She can handle the rest on her own. Turning away, he starts to leave. But before he can take another step, Jin grabs his hand. She insists that he can't just leave. He has to protect her. No yanks his hand free. He warns her not to get in his way and orders her to leave. Earlier, No gathers his friends and instructs them to run as far down the mountain as possible. If they spot any other hunters, they should call for help immediately. Choi hesitates, then asks if No isn't coming with them. No shakes his head, saying he has to stay back and search for other survivors. Choi, refusing to leave him behind, declares that he'll go too. He's learned from No, and now it's his turn to help. But before he can say another word, No cuts him off. His voice turns cold as he orders Choi to stop joking around and focus on surviving. No continues instructing his friends, emphasizing that from now on, they will operate as a 4-person party. He warns them to keep one thing in mind: hounds are monsters with great sense of smell. To avoid detection, they must suppress their mana as much as possible since these creatures can easily sense it. Once they head down the mountain, No moves in the opposite direction, climbing higher. Along the way, he tosses Young's food onto the ground. Since it was prepared by her father, it contains traces of mana. This will momentarily confuse the monsters, giving him an advantage. Activating his mana detection, No thoroughly scans the area, pinpointing the exact locations of nearby monsters. Satisfied with the information, he mutters to himself that he has already bought his friends enough time to escape. He sprints toward the hellhounds. No spots the hellhound boss lurking in a particularly dark area of the mountain, its presence radiating an ominous aura. He mutters to himself, realizing this fight will be far more difficult than expected. Though he still possesses half the mana he had in his past life, it won't be enough for a prolonged battle. Fortunately, he has one of Young's drinks, a potion crafted by her father, which might prove useful. Suddenly, loud screams echo through the area. No turns to see that a group of hunters has already arrived, but they are being overwhelmed by the horde of hellhounds. One by one, they are torn apart until only a single survivor remains. Before the last player can react, a hellhound lunges at him, finishing him off. No leaps into action, jumping onto one of the hellhounds. As he lands, he quickly grabs a small sword from the fallen player's bag. Armed with this new weapon, he prepares to cut through the swarm of monsters. One hellhound immediately pounces on him, but No swiftly spots its weak point and drives his sword straight through it, killing it in an instant. As the creature's lifeless body is flung aside, another charges toward him. No moves with incredible speed, slashing through the monsters one after another without hesitation. As No finishes off one hellhound, another lunges at him from behind. He swiftly dodges the attack and drives his dagger deep into the creature's stomach, killing it instantly. Several more hellhounds surround him. He channels a significant amount of mana into his sword, infusing it with power. Sharp, needle-like projections form along the blade, and with a single slash, he releases them. The small mana-infused needles pierce through the attacking monsters, wounding them all at once. Landing back on the ground, No moves quickly. Using his sword, he carves a massive symbol in the sky, a large glowing star. The moment he completes it, a powerful explosion erupts, consuming all the nearby hellhounds in an instant. The overwhelming blast leaves nothing but silence in its wake. Back in the present, No now holds a gun and a small sword, weapons scavenged from the fallen hunters. Having saved Jin from the hellhounds, he turns to leave. She attempts to stop him, but No coldly tells her not to get in his way and to leave immediately. Jin lets him go, and without another word, No walks away. Jin watches No and firmly declares that she wants him. No finally reaches the boss area after running through the battlefield. Standing before him is the rank 6 monster, the Hellhound boss. Darkness emanates from its body as it marks No as its target. No challenges the beast, declaring that no matter how much it tries to mark him, tonight, it will die. Without wasting time, he unleashes his small needle attack once again. The mana-infused needles fly through the air, piercing the lesser hounds surrounding their leader. As the smaller monsters collapse, No steps forward to face the boss. At that moment, 2 hounds attempt to ambush him from behind. Sensing the attack, he swiftly dodges, taking down one with his sword and shooting the other with his gun. More hellhounds swarm toward him, but No moves through them with deadly precision, cutting down every monster in his path. His relentless assault clears the way as he advances toward the Hellhound boss. Hounds still remain in large numbers before No. Annoyed, he mutters about how troublesome they are. Meanwhile, his friends continue their descent down the mountain, running as fast as they can. No had warned them that the monsters they were up against had powerful mana-sensing abilities. To avoid detection, they had to suppress their mana. Following his advice, they kept their mana suppressed as they made their way down. They reach a point where 2 paths diverge before them. Unsure which way to go, Choi turns to Young and asks for guidance. However, Young is exhausted, barely able to keep up. Despite her fatigue, she recalls that No had specifically assigned her and Siona as the group's navigators. Since they were the best at reading terrain, it was up to them to decide the safest route forward. Back in the present, Young uses her mana detection ability, sensing a strong darkness emanating from the left-hand path. At the same time, Siona, relying on her heightened senses, listens carefully and confirms that there are no safe sounds coming from that direction. With that, the group quickly decides to take the other path and starts running at full speed. As they rush forward, Choi suddenly hears deep growling behind them. He panics, but before he can turn around, Minji grabs his hand and firmly tells him not to look back. Her mind flashes back to what No had told her earlier. No one should make reckless decisions. She clenches her teeth, determined to follow his advice. The group continues to sprint, but Young abruptly stops. A wave of darkness surges ahead, stronger than before. Alarmed, she warns the others. They see a lone hound monster blocking their path. However, this one is different from the regular hounds. It is a stronger, upgraded version. Before they can react, the beast lets out a piercing howl, and within moments, more hounds appear from all sides, surrounding them completely. Choi recalls No's words. He was the strongest among them, the main damage dealer, and it was his responsibility to protect everyone. No matter how many monsters appeared, he had to fight. With this in mind, he infuses his stick with mana and prepares to engage the enemies head-on. As the hellhounds charge toward him, he swings his weapon, striking one with full force and sending it flying backward. A rush of excitement surges through him, but before he can revel in his success, 2 more hounds leap at him. He swiftly takes them down as well. However, just as he starts to believe he can handle this, a hound suddenly slashes his back with its claws. Before he can recover, 2 more hounds close in. One snatches his stick, while the other slams its claws into his side, knocking him off balance. The others watch in horror as Choi struggles. Siona observes the way the monsters are toying with him, almost as if they see him as entertainment. Despite the overwhelming numbers, Choi refuses to give up. He clenches his fists, channels a surge of mana into his hands, and as another hound pounces on him, he lands a powerful punch, sending it flying into the air. He stares at his own hand in shock, and what he just did felt strangely similar to the boss's own attacks. But before he can process it, another hound lunges at him, striking his stomach and sending him flying. He crashes hard onto the ground. Before he can move, a hound pins him down with its massive paw pressing against his chest. The others scream his name, but Choi can only watch as the monster prepares to finish him off. Siona, overwhelmed with fear and despair, starts crying as memories of her friends treating her with kindness flood her mind. She repeatedly pleads for someone to save them. The hellhound gripping Choi's arm tightens its hold, preparing to bite down. Just as Minji and the others try to rush in, Siona instinctively activates her telepathic ability, sending out a desperate call for help. Her telepathic signal travels far, beyond anything she has ever achieved before. Suddenly, a powerful wind barrier forms around them, forcefully pushing the monsters away. Choi's friends remain protected inside the barrier, unable to comprehend what just happened. As they look outside, they witness a raging tornado sweeping through the battlefield, tearing apart the hellhounds. Then a woman calmly steps forward. She glances at them and speaks, asking them to close their eyes for a while. She is about to deal with these nasty dogs. This woman is one of the 12 sovereigns, known as Divine Tempest, and her name is Shin. Meanwhile, No continues his intense fight against the Hellhound boss, surrounded by countless monsters. Feeling his exhaustion, he drinks the potion crafted by Young's father, allowing him to recover slightly. Without wasting time, he charges forward, using his heavenly steps to strike down an enemy. However, the horde remains relentless. Another monster rushes at him, and he pulls out his gun and takes it down. Despite his efforts, the battle is far from over. No continues cutting down the remaining Hellhounds with relentless precision, wielding his sword while activating his ability, Violent Dance. His movements become a blur, slashing through enemy after enemy until only the Hellhound boss remains. Every lesser hound in the area has been eliminated. He charges forward, using his skill to close the distance, but his body isn't responding as smoothly as before. Ignoring the strain, he swings his sword directly at the Hellhound, only for the beast to clamp down on the blade with its powerful jaws. No immediately draws his gun and fires multiple shots at the monster, but it refuses to let go. In retaliation, the Hellhound prepares to unleash a devastating fire blast. Sensing the danger, No quickly leaps away, narrowly dodging the attack. The flames scorch the ground where he stood moments ago. Without missing a beat, he unloads his remaining bullets into the Hellhound, each shot striking its body. The creature staggers from the damage, but before No can press his advantage, his ammunition runs out. Realizing he has no choice but to engage in close combat, he grips his sword tightly. However, he can already feel his mana depleting. Despite this, he notices the Hellhound is also exhausted. Now it all comes down to who can outlast the other. The Hellhound begins summoning multiple dark energy spheres. Snarling, the beast speaks in a guttural tone, mocking No's arrogance. Watching the swirling orbs, No quickly assesses the situation. These aren't just normal attacks. This seems different from a simple marking ability. It launches the dark spheres toward him. As they race through the air, the beast growls that it will tear him apart. Instead of dodging, No charges straight at the attack, slicing through one of the orbs with his sword. However, instead of shattering, it releases a surge of darkness. He braces himself, analyzing the effect. Realizing it isn't poison, he concludes that he can keep cutting through them without worry. Pushing forward, he steadily closes the distance between himself and the Hellhound. Just as he nears, the Hellhound, already anticipating his approach, prepares a devastating fire breath. Cloaking itself in darkness, it suddenly unleashes a massive wave of flames directly at No. No raises his sword to block the attack, but the force is too overwhelming. The intense heat and pressure sends him flying backward, crashing hard against the ground. As he struggles to push himself up, he assesses the extent of his injuries. Despite using the last of his mana for defense, his body is battered. Breathing heavily, he mutters to himself, acknowledging just how much damage he has taken. At this rate, he won't last much longer. During a fight in his past, No's teammates observe his battered body with concern. One of them mutters that No looks as good as dead, but another quickly corrects him. He explains that No possesses a rare ability known as Berserker. Unlike ordinary talents, Berserker is a gift that only activates in extreme situations, pushing the user beyond their limits. Back in the present, No's mana is completely depleted, triggering his Berserker ability. Despite having no energy left, his body continues to release mana at an explosive rate. His movements become faster. With renewed strength, he charges straight toward the Hellhound, closing the distance in an instant. The beast instinctively retreats, but No is already too close. His sword slashes downward, severing two of its legs in a single strike. The Hellhound recoils in agony, but even in this state, it refuses to fall. Summoning its remaining strength, it conjures a swirling barrier of darkness to shield itself. No steps forward and swings his sword with full force. The impact shatters the dark barrier, exposing the wounded beast. Glaring down at his opponent, No says he had already declared its death. He delivers the finishing blow, cutting down the monstrous creature. As the battle ends, he finally allows himself to collapse. Sitting down, he gazes at the sunset and falls unconscious. Meanwhile, No's friends find themselves face to face with one of the 12 sovereigns, a woman named Shin. She calmly instructs them to close their eyes, warning them that she is about to eliminate the remaining Hellhounds. Her expression turns serious as she unleashes her ability, conjuring two massive tornadoes that spiral through the battlefield with devastating force. In an instant, the remaining monsters are caught in the raging winds, torn apart effortlessly. Once the battle is over, she dispels the tornadoes and releases the barrier that had been protecting the children. Turning to No's friends, she apologizes, admitting that she might have seemed frightening. She hopes they won't start crying, repeating to herself not to panic if they do. To reassure them, she gently tells them there's no need to be afraid anymore. Choi excitedly interrupts, saying it was incredibly cool. Sayona keeps thanking Shin, while Young watches in awe, comparing Shin's strength to No's. Choi, just as thrilled, exclaims that Shin is one of the 12 sovereigns. Shin, however, grows thoughtful. Despite what these children have just gone through, they seem completely fine. She wonders if they have gone mad from fear or if they are just handling everything unnaturally well. Her gaze shifts to Choi, noticing he has taken the most damage. Concerned, she checks him for internal injuries. As she examines them, she senses something unusual. Young's mana feels different, far stronger than the others. Shin rushes forward and embraces Young, asking if she wants to become a player. Before Young can respond, Choi jumps in between them, declaring that he will be the one to become a player. This reminds Shin of the powerful punch Choi had landed on the monster earlier. Smiling, she pulls him along with Minji into a hug, calling them adorable. Shin turns to Siona, acknowledging the telepathic message she had sent earlier. She praises her for doing a great job, explaining that it was only because of Siona's message that she was able to locate them. Hearing this, Siona feels relieved and proud that she was able to help, even in a small way. With the situation settling down, Shin instructs them to head down the mountain. She assures them that a rescue team will be arriving soon. Minji hesitates and asks if Shin won't be coming with them. Shin explains that she still has more people to save but reassures them that she wouldn't leave them alone. Just then, she gestures toward the forest, saying he has arrived just in time. A man steps out from the trees, approaching them. He looks at Shin and complains that she left him behind, saying it was incredibly difficult to make it here alone. This man, named Cheol, is also a member of the Ocean Clan. Without wasting time, Shin tells the children to follow Cheol and head down the mountain. Choi suddenly speaks up, pointing out that their boss still hasn't returned. This confuses Shin and Cheol as they wonder who this boss is. Meanwhile, No remains unconscious, lost in a dream. Memories from his past life resurface. In the vision, he is severely injured, and a girl is healing him. She scolds him, telling him to take better care of himself. If she hadn't been there, he would have died countless times. She points out how recklessly he pushes himself just to stay conscious. Even as she heals him, No makes a face and questions why she's so angry. After all, it's his body. The girl, Yu Jong, glares at him and snaps back, saying that since she's the one always taking care of it, his body might as well belong to her. No sighs and apologizes, asking if she's happy now. But Yu Jong isn't satisfied. She smirks and tells him that if he's really sorry, he should spend time with her over the weekend. No responds asking why, but she cuts him off, telling him to just listen if he does not want to die. Back in the present, No opens his eyes and finds himself in a hospital room. He looks down at himself, realizing there are no visible injuries. As he mutters this to himself, someone outside hears him. The door opens and Shin steps inside. No immediately recognizes her. She tells him he is finally awake and asks if he feels any pain. No says he is completely fine and wonders if she was the one who saved him. Though he speaks playfully, his thoughts are elsewhere. A member of the 12 sovereigns personally checking on him means she must know something. Shin sits beside No and explains that as soon as she found him, she brought him to the hospital. She asks if his name is No, and he confirms it before asking for hers. She introduces herself as Shin and adds that he can call her Nuna, which means older sister. No grows quiet for a moment before asking how long he was unconscious and what happened to his friends. Shin informs him that 6 hours have passed and that his friends are completely safe. She also mentions that she has already contacted his family and they should be arriving soon. Hearing this, No feels relieved that his friends are safe, but his thoughts shift to his parents. He wonders what he is going to say to them. Before he can dwell on it, Shin speaks again, telling him that she has some things to investigate and needs him to answer her questions properly. She asks what he was doing at that place and who was responsible for killing all the monsters. No lets out a small laugh and tells her that he doesn't remember much. He thinks he was just running and somehow ended up in that place. He says someone must have saved him before he lost consciousness. Shin moves in closer and states that with so many monsters killed there, she has a feeling that he was the one who defeated them. She asks what he thinks about that. No immediately denies it, saying there's no way he could have killed so many monsters. But Shin doesn't back down. She reveals that she has already gathered some information on him. Last year, he received the Brave Child Award. No turns away and insists that it was just a coincidence. But Shin presses further, asking if it was also a coincidence that he defeated the Hellhounds this time. No keeps denying it, but then Shin tells him that they have already found his fingerprints on the sword. Hearing this, No falls silent. He realizes that making more excuses won't help. This woman already knows the truth. There's nothing more he can do. After thinking for a moment, No tells her that they should make a deal. Shin questions why she should agree when she has nothing to lose. She asks what she would even gain from this deal. No responds that he will give her highly important information. Hearing this, Shin asks what kind of information he is talking about. But No refuses to reveal it immediately, saying that if he tells her now, it won't be a deal anymore. This information is part of the negotiation. Shin takes a moment to think. She realizes that he has given up on denying that he was the one who killed the hellhounds. Now she is curious about what kind of information this kid can possibly offer. She asks him what exactly he wants in return for this deal. No tells her that he doesn't want anything, he just wants to live a normal life. Seated in her car, she instructs her driver to investigate the heirs of the Dangun group. No had given Shin the information, telling her that she needs to keep an eye on the female heirs of the Dangun group. More importantly, she should observe their relationship with the leader of Ocean Clan, the very guild she is affiliated with. Hearing this, Shin is surprised. No is indirectly implying that one of the female heirs of a major group is having an affair with the leader of Ocean Clan. Shin warns him not to joke about something this serious and asks if he is ready to take responsibility for what he is saying. But No confidently replies that if she finds nothing new from his information, he will join her clan. Shin scoffs, saying that their guild isn't some random organization anyone can just join. However, No counters by saying that a moment ago she was convinced that he was the one who killed the hellhounds. Shin acknowledges that, no matter how she looks at it, No stands to gain a lot from this deal. But No simply tells her that, in the end, she will be able to confirm her husband's loyalty, while also securing a valuable talent. Back in the present, Shin asks the driver to investigate the female heirs of the Dangun group in detail, with a particular focus on any possible connections between them and her husband. Additionally, she orders him to recheck the ranking reports of the monsters that recently appeared in Gangnam District. In the past, No and Shin had already finalized their deal. No provided her with valuable information about her husband, and before she left, he gave her a final warning. He told her not to underestimate the monsters appearing in Gangnam District just because of their ranking. Ignoring them could lead to serious consequences. Before parting ways, he made one last suggestion. She should report that all the monsters from the recent incident were defeated by her alone. With a slight smile, No pointed out that this arrangement would benefit her as well. Meanwhile, it would allow him to continue living as an ordinary elementary school student. Thinking back on their conversation, she mutters to herself that the boy is truly interesting. The news reported that today, a 7th grade monster and 100 hellhounds attacked Mount Bukan. A player had dealt with the 6th grade hellhound and was now investigating the incident. Someone was checking a phone displaying a report stating that 34 victims are identified. The entire internet was flooded with news about the event. A couple of months later, Siona smiles as her friends wish her a happy birthday. No, looking at Minji smiling, teases that kindness doesn't suit her. Young hands Siona some homemade chocolate with a cheerful expression. Choi quickly walks away, grinning and whispering to others that the party will be amazing. No asks if Young's dad has allowed them to do this, while Siona questions what they are whispering about. Choi runs off, insisting she doesn't need to know. Minji, glancing up, mentions that the morning assembly is starting. Siona looks around in confusion. Later in the evening, a large crowd gathers at Young's house to celebrate Siona's birthday. All the kids smile as they wish her. Tears well up in Siona's eyes as she admits she had suspected they were secretly planning something. A cake is brought out for her. Minji, still smiling, reminds Siona that she has a lot to do. Minji tells No that Jin Sana has threatened a worker to ensure the boy's father will attend. No knows about the KK group, ranking 7th in all of South Korea. Their main areas of influence are electronics, construction, and advertising, though they have little impact on the medical industry. No tells Minji to wipe that expression off her face. He smiles, saying that if Jin is a direct heir to KK, then her last name should be Kim. But since her surname is Jin, she is definitely from a collateral family. No tells her to stop worrying. Minji is annoyed and walks away, telling him to eat alone. No mutters that things have gotten a little complicated but are still manageable. His eyes are on his family as he stabs the fork into the cake, declaring that if anything disturbs them, he will tear it to pieces. Choi shouts that today he will show what he has learned. No tells him that as long as he doesn't trip, he is fine. Choi waves a hand, telling him not to worry. Everything will be okay, and he will do his best for the team. No notices the tension in the air and turns back. Angry students are gathered, and he asks what is going on. Minji, now stern, demands an explanation from the boy standing next to her. The boy says that the teacher has promised to buy nuggets and pizza if they win. No glances at the teacher, who is now in tears, regretting her words. Feeding these students is impossible. Another teacher raises his gun and shouts for attention. Choi prepares to start, thinking about how shocked everyone will be. A gunshot rings out. He runs forward with all his might, the team cheering his name. No sighs as Choi pushes toward victory. He focuses on Choi as the finish line comes into view. Choi stretches his hand toward it, but his body suddenly feels unbearably heavy. Just one more step, then he collapses. The team is horrified. The class teacher rushes forward, lifts him onto her back, and carries him. Choi murmurs that the sky is spinning. No sighs, already expecting this outcome. Choi has overdone it again. He thinks about how he needs to work on the boy's character and teach him to stay calm. Suddenly, a girl jumps on him from behind. He turns to see his sister Yuna, beaming with excitement. She proudly announces that she has come first in the 100-meter race. No nods, realizing she has beaten all the other 5th graders. Yuna tells him to take care of himself and that she is heading to her next event. They will see each other again soon. No waves her off, reminding her not to push herself too hard. Minji, watching the exchange, thinks to herself that he isn't a mama's boy, he is Nuna's boy. Sayona approaches the group with her head down, frustrated. Yuna has been too fast. No, filled with pride, declares that she is his sister. Sayona, frowning, asks if he has been rooting for his sister instead of their team. No quickly objects, insisting that he has been thinking about lunch the entire time. Minji doesn't buy it, saying that he has been watching Yuna the whole time. Turning away, No looks embarrassed before quickly changing the subject and asking about Young. Sayona points to the side. Young is running up to the group with excitement. She finds them sitting on a blanket, enjoying a picnic. They are No's neighbors, a couple named Julie and Bruno. Young asks for their help, grabs the girl's hand, and urges her to run faster. They reach the judge of the competition and start talking quickly. The girls slap their palms together. Young drops down next to No, letting out a breath as she finally gets to rest. No hands her a bottle of water and asks how she got Julie to come. She twists open the bottle and responds saying she is an American. He pauses, surprised as he thought she is Italian. Julie had already told No's mother she could speak English. He wonders if Julie had tricked them. He looks at her surprised. At their first meeting, she had been just a crybaby. Now she seems different, more cunning, more mature. Young watches No closely as he thinks. He leans to the side, glancing at Choi, who is finally starting to come to his senses after the potion. The loudspeakers on the poles call everyone to gather after lunch. No wants Choi to at least be half of what Young has become. No walks over to Young and Siona, joining a group of unfamiliar women. He greets them, handing fruit and snacks from his mother. Lowering his voice, he quietly asks Young who they are. The women laugh. Young explains that her aunt has recently become their regular customer. No walks past a tent with an English flag, feeling like he has seen her before, but not remembering where. At a nearby table, Jin sits with guards. She asks if he is hungry and offers tea. He ignores her and keeps walking, more focused on recalling what was for lunch. Jin rushes after him, pointing as she tells her father she recently mentioned No. The man's expression hardens. He asks if No is the one who bullied his daughter. He introduces himself as the president of KK Pharmaceuticals. No dismisses his company as pathetic. The insult lands hard. Young's face darkens as he raises a hand to strike, but it stops short. No pushes it aside with a single finger, his stance unshaken. Young hesitates, then clenches his fist and swings. Before it lands, a sudden movement cuts in. No's eyes widen as Young recoils, blood trickling from his nose. No's father stands there, shaking out his fists. He demands to know how Young dares to lay a hand on his son. He grips No's shoulders, checking if he is hurt. No brushes it off, saying he is fine but doesn't appreciate the interference. Young is furious that someone like him dared to strike him. Guards rush forward as the director orders them to take No's father. No clenches his teeth, ready to handle this himself. But his father moves first, stepping in front of him saying everything is under control. No stands behind his father. He trusts him to handle it. A crowd gathers around the scene. Young now understands exactly who he is dealing with. No's father adjusts his glasses, fixes his hair. He asks if Young remembers him now. Young shudders, his mouth opening in shock. No's father slides his hands into his pockets. The director shouts, recognizing him as the head of the department at Sirius. Young clenches his teeth, struggling to process why someone like Sirius is here. No is equally shocked. He cannot believe his father holds a high position at Sirius. Sirius is South Korea's second largest company, known for supplying cars and devices for hunters. Young, still shaken, points at Sirius and demands to know what he is doing here. Sirius frowns and Young quickly apologizes, admitting he was just curious about why the head of the strategic department was here. No realizes his father is not just an important figure. He oversees the production of devices for the company. Sirius pats his son's head, explaining he only came to watch his children perform, though Young seems to have a problem with his son. The director's face twists in anger, but there is nothing he can do. Companies like KK are nowhere near the level of Sirius. Sirius is not just a high-ranking official, he is one of the key developers in the field. The director bows, hastily offering sincere apologies, realizing he made a grave mistake by provoking someone of Sirius's status. Young orders his daughter to apologize. Jin, frozen in place, hesitates. Her eyes dart around in confusion, struggling to react. Two boys whisper, wondering what kind of argument this is. It looks like Jin and No were arguing, but in the end, she lost. They laugh, saying she deserves it for always picking on others. Jin lowers her head. The boys warn the others not to look at her, or they might get into trouble too. She wants to apologize, but her voice shakes. Tears well up in her eyes and she runs away. Sirius places a hand on No's shoulder, saying they should leave now. As for hitting him, they can consider themselves even. Young bows to Sirius, who walks away with his son and tells him to take care of himself. No worries about the consequences, but Sirius turns him around, kneels, and tells him not to handle things alone next time. He should come to him instead. Sirius smiles as he tells No he is still too young and that relying on his parents is completely normal. No looks at his father and Sirius takes his hands. No thanks him, promising himself he won't forget this warmth ever again. Elsewhere, on the upper floor of a ruined building, a man in a suit is smoking. He turns to the young man sitting on the couch, asking if it was really necessary to come all the way here to hire him. The client explains he has a big deal, but some people are in his way. He needs help handling them. The young man glances at his phone, then asks about the payment. A suitcase appears in front of him, brought by an employee. Inside there are stacks of cash, 1.5 billion upfront and another if the job is completed. The young man eyes the reward, reaching for the suitcase. A blue whirlwind of mana emerges from his hand. He acknowledges the payment, and in an instant, the money vanishes into a black portal. The employee stares in confusion, not understanding where the money went. He turns to his boss, who can only mutter in disbelief. The boss smirks, flicks away his cigarette, and laughs. Meanwhile, at a department store, Yuna beams with excitement as No follows her. Julie approaches from behind, placing her hands on No's shoulders. He hasn't been to a shopping center in a while, but the exhaustion feels the same. She leans in, mentioning that they had just arrived and hoping he isn't too tired. Bruno apologizes to No, who just asked for something tasty. His gaze shifts to Bruno. Something feels off. This man has no visible mana, and No wonders how an ordinary office worker is able to hide it so perfectly. Blue light flickers in No's eyes as he focuses. Bruno notices the stare and asks what's wrong. No quickly pretends to be looking for his sister and Julie. The mall is crowded. Bruno mentions that the girls said they were heading to the 5th floor before running off. Finding them won't be easy. No sighs, remembering that his sister can now mask her mana as well. Bruno pulls out his phone, reassuring him not to worry. They have a way to track them. No's eyes widen in shock. On the screen, their location is being monitored in real time. Bruno casually tucks the phone into his coat pocket. When No asks if Julie knows, Bruno replies that it's a secret. Bruno clears his throat and suggests they get moving. As they stand, a hooded figure approaches from the opposite direction. Passing by, the stranger grins and mutters, "Let it begin." They walk in different directions, but No glances back. Blue flames flicker around the hooded figure. A tattoo on his arm stands out. He recognizes this man from his past life. No clenches his fists. He remembers that grin. It's No Name. Bruno asks what's wrong. No hesitates, struggling to make sense of it. Something is off. He tells his uncle that something strange is happening. After a moment, he detects 3 individuals nearby with suspicious mana energy. No is surprised but quickly realizes that the energy is not coming from No Name. It is from 3 completely different people. One is wearing a baseball cap, another is bald, and the third has a bucket hat. He conjures 3 small orbs of mana and sends them toward the 3 individuals. Each one is hit, allowing him to pinpoint their exact locations. He is certain these 3 are experienced hunters. The marked individuals start moving around in confusion. 2 of them seem particularly panicked as they scan their surroundings, trying to figure out who targeted them. The third person, the one wearing the bucket hat, remains completely still. Bruno finds this strange. The other 2 suddenly decide to move in opposite directions. Suspicious of their actions, No follows the bald man. No watches as he weaves through the crowded area, carefully tracking his movements. Suddenly, he reaches into his pocket and discreetly drops a mana stone onto the ground. No immediately understands what is happening. These people are planning to cause chaos inside the mall. Before he can react, mysterious blue lights begin appearing everywhere. The crowd erupts in shock as the eerie glow spreads. People instinctively back away. Then, a massive black portal materializes above them. Confusion ripples through the crowd as they stare in disbelief. Whispers fill the air. Some wonder if this is the mana mall distribution they have only heard about in rumors. A piercing scream suddenly comes from somewhere behind No and Bruno. Countless monster hounds pour out from the portal in an overwhelming swarm. The creatures launch an attack, targeting terrified shoppers one by one. Other monsters begin spilling into the mall, flooding every floor. The mall's emergency announcement system blares to life, urging all visitors to evacuate immediately. But before the message can even finish, a monstrous figure lunges forward and silences the announcer in an instant. Meanwhile, No Name remains on his call. The operation is proceeding exactly as planned. Anyone who dares to interfere must be eliminated on the spot. Panic surges through No. This attack on the mall was never supposed to happen. Somehow the future has changed completely. He realizes that everything shifted when the Kraken attacked the city, where he saved his parents. A monstrous hound suddenly charges at him from behind. Bruno reacts instantly. He strikes the creature's head with full force, sending it crashing across the floor. Without wasting a second, he grabs No by the shoulders and forces him to focus. They need to reach Julie and Yuna before it is too late. No regains his composure. Their mission is clear. They must get to Julie and Yuna no matter what. No and Bruno sprint toward the escalator, pushing past the panicked crowd as they fight their way forward. Bruno checks his tracking device. Julie and Yuna are still on the 5th floor. His anxiety grows with every passing second. As they near the top of the escalator, a figure suddenly steps in front of them, blocking their path. The man slowly lifts his head, his gaze locking onto No and Bruno. The man smirks under his bucket hat and casually asks where they are headed. No observes his stance, analyzing his presence. This man is at least rank C or higher. Being stopped now, at such a crucial moment, is the last thing he needs. He wastes no time. Summoning his mana, he forms an energy sphere. But before he can make a move, Bruno acts first. In an instant, his fist crashes into the man's cheek. The impact sends the man sprawling onto the floor. Blood trickles from his face as his hat falls off. No freezes. He never expected Bruno to be this strong. Without any combat gear or enhancement devices, he took the man down in a single blow. His earlier suspicions were right. Bruno is far from ordinary. Bruno steps forward and grabs the man's head. Mana surges through his hand as he prepares to strike again. Before he can land the hit, No swiftly intervenes. No steps up and delivers a brutal kick, right between the legs. The man groans, his body curling in agony. Bruno glares at him, but he brushes it off. Killing him would only complicate things. He knows this from experience. The last time he eliminated No Name without extracting information, the consequences were severe. He will not make that mistake again. No tells Bruno they need to move to the 5th floor immediately. He complies, muttering about how terrifying kids these days are. He never planned to kill the guy, just knock him out. Meanwhile, on the 5th floor, just moments earlier, as the mall's emergency announcement blares, Yuna, who was browsing through clothes, accidentally drops the clothes she was holding. Julie looks around, trying to make sense of the situation, while Yuna, still piecing things together, wonders if there was an unequal distribution of mana. Wanting to confirm her suspicions, Yuna activates her detection skill. She closes her eyes and focuses as her mana field expands, scanning the area. Yuna quickly counts 6 monster hounds on the 5th floor. If they are not careful, they could be cornered. She opens her eyes, ready to reassure Julie that she will protect her. Before she can finish, Julie suddenly screams. Yuna snaps her head around. A hound monster leaps at her, ready to strike. Before Yuna can react, Julie grabs her hand and yanks her to the side. She snatches a clothing hanger from a nearby rack and channels mana into it. Julie tightens her grip, reinforcing the hanger with even more mana. In a swift motion, she swings, striking the hound and sending it flying. Yuna stands frozen. She had always assumed Julie was just an ordinary human, but seeing her wield mana so effortlessly changes everything. Julie is a player. Glancing at the now damaged hanger, Julie sighs. She will need to replace it later. For now, she turns to Yuna and urges her to head straight for the evacuation point. Bruno and No are likely already waiting. As they move forward, more hound monsters begin emerging from behind them. Their numbers are growing. Julie holds Yuna close, moving carefully to avoid detection, but the hound's sharp sense of smell makes escape impossible. Within seconds, the monsters lock onto their presence. As they sprint through the mall, Julie hurls orbs of mana at the pursuing hounds. Each strike slows them down, but deep inside, she knows the truth. These monsters are faster than she expected. If this keeps up, her mana will run out. She needs a weapon, something that won't drain her energy. Up ahead, Yuna spots an escalator. Julie calls out, warning her to stop. But Yuna keeps running. Then she looks up and sees a hound monster is already midair, leaping straight toward her. She freezes. Its glowing eyes lock onto hers, but instead of fear, a strange calm washes over her. The fear Yuna once felt when facing the Kraken is gone. Mana energy surges through her body, flowing naturally. As the attack comes her way, she leaps left, narrowly dodging the strike, then twists midair. With perfect control, she lifts her right leg and kicks. The impact is crushing. The hound monster hurtles off the edge of the 5th floor, vanishing into the depths below. But as Yuna exhales, ready to land, her foot slips. Julie appears, catching her just in time. Julie grips Yuna tightly, her heart racing. She quickly asks if Yuna is okay. Still smiling, Yuna reassures her she's fine. More hound monsters flood in from every direction, cutting off their escape. Julie scans the area and spots the escalator. She quickly turns to Yuna and asks if she can make it. Yuna nods. Mana energy pulses through their bodies as they push off the ground. In one swift motion, they leap and their feet land safely on the escalator. Julie doesn't stop. She tells Yuna to get down quickly. 2 hound monsters stand on the upper floor, furious that their prey has slipped away. Julie clenches her fists. Without proper combat gear or a weapon, fighting here will be difficult. She needs something solid to use. As they near the bottom of the escalator, a hound monster suddenly leaps from above, aiming straight for Julie. She grabs a mannequin torso from the side and swings it with full force. The impact is brutal. The monster is sent flying, crashing off the escalator and out of sight. She doesn't stop. 2 more hounds charge at her. Holding the mannequin like a weapon, she swings again, knocking both creatures away in one swift motion. Yuna watches, amazed by Julie's skill. Meanwhile, No and Bruno move cautiously through the area. No suddenly stops, noticing lipsticks and other cosmetic products scattered across the floor. He picks one up, rolling it between his fingers. If he has nothing else to use as a weapon, this will have to do. He throws the lipstick at one of No Name's henchmen. He deflects it with ease, just as he expected. It was never meant to hit. The moment his attention shifts, No rushes in. He strikes hard at his shin. He stumbles, but it isn't enough to take him down. He follows up with a powerful punch straight to his head. The force of the blow is devastating, leaving his face bruised. No quickly reports to Bruno. He asks if he has finished on his end. Bruno confirms. Now, all that remains is for them to head upstairs. Just as Bruno prepares to move, No stops him. He believes that if they wait a moment, they might be able to sense their targets more clearly. After a brief pause, he successfully pinpoints their locations. Before he can react, a hound monster crashes down from the upper floor, followed by 3 more. No and Bruno immediately look up, scanning the area. Above them, they see No and Yuna safe. With that reassurance, they grab weapons from their fallen enemies and make their way upstairs. As they move, Bruno asks if they need any protective gear. No considers his question but feels confident with just the short sword he picked up. No suddenly stops. His grip tightens around the sword. Bruno notices the shift in his behavior and asks what's wrong. On the floor above them, a man in a black jacket stands motionless. They recognize him instantly. It is the same person they spotted on the ground floor earlier. His mana energy surges, radiating an intense aura. No turns to Bruno and asks if he is the one behind the chaos in the mall. Bruno confirms it. Bruno instructs No to go and find his older sister, but he refuses to leave. He declares that he will be the one to take him down. Meanwhile, Julie and Yuna find themselves approached by 2 henchmen of no name. One looks surprised to see a foreigner. The other grins along with him, amused by the situation. Slowly, they start moving toward Julie and Yuna. Julie immediately steps in front of Yuna, shielding her. The henchmen will be forced to retreat soon as the Scylla are on their way. But before that happens, they decide to amuse themselves a little longer. Julie is disgusted while Yuna trembles behind her. Julie urges Yuna to find a place to hide. She promises to find her later, but Yuna refuses. She insists that she can fight too and begs Julie not to worry about her. Before she can argue further, the hooded man suddenly shouts, declaring that they won't let the kid escape. Almost instantly, his partner appears behind Yuna, blocking her path. A chill runs down Yuna's spine. She stands frozen as cold sweat trickles down her back. Before the man in black can lay a hand on Yuna, Julie grabs a mannequin torso and swings it at him with full force. But just as the attack is about to land, the hooded man pulls out a gun and fires. The shot sends the mannequin flying from Julie's hands. The man in black flinches, wincing as he clutches his ear. The hooded man smirks and warns Julie not to do anything reckless. He tells her to cooperate. If she refuses, she will have to deal with the consequences. The man in black moves toward them. He suggests a one-on-one fight before the Scylla arrives. He picks Yuna as his opponent. Panic surges through Yuna as she stumbles backward, pressing herself against a pillar. The man smiles slyly, raising his hand toward her. He tells her not to be afraid, insisting that he isn't a bad person. His fingers reach for her, but just before he can make contact, Yuna jerks her head to the side, barely avoiding him. Without a moment to lose, she ducks and sprints away. But no matter how desperately she tries to escape, it's hopeless. With a quick burst of mana, the man moves in a flash, grabbing Yuna's right arm before she can get any farther. Yuna's eyes widen in shock. Acting on instinct, she channels mana into her palms and unleashes an attack. The blast forces the man to leap back. In response, both of them summon barriers, their energy colliding mid-air. The man in black stares at her, visibly surprised. He never expected a girl like Yuna to wield such immense mana, enough to launch an attack and create a barrier at the same time. He can't believe he's being forced into a standoff with a mere child. But he has no patience for this. Reaching into his pocket, he pulls out a dagger. He knows that if he captures this girl, he will be rich. He lunges, slashing at her barrier with rapid strikes. Yuna grits her teeth, bracing herself as each blow collides with her shield. The barrier holds firm, but the relentless assault doesn't stop. The man keeps hacking away, his dagger striking over and over. With each impact, the blade grows duller. Now it is almost half its original size. Yuna watches his expression shift and wonders if she has finally made him give up. But before she can react, he suddenly thrusts his bare hand straight through her barrier. Shock washes over her as his fingers clamp tightly around her arm. A sinister grin spreads across his face. Meanwhile, on the ground floor of the mall, reinforcements from the Scylla clan finally arrive. Their priority is to evacuate civilians before dealing with the monsters wreaking havoc. As they move to control the situation, a strange creature materializes in front of them. The entire squad freezes and sees a rank 8 swamp slime. Their leader wastes no time and orders someone to call in long-range attackers before engaging. But one of the melee fighters steps forward. He insists there is no need for backup, he can handle it alone. Gripping his axe, he charges ahead, his weapon radiating with mana. To him, all monsters are the same. You cut them down until they are nothing. With that thought, he swings his axe straight into the slime's body. The moment his weapon makes contact, his attack stops dead. The slime begins to move. Its massive fluid body shifts and engulfs him entirely. Within seconds, he is devoured whole. The squad watches in horror. Their leader reacts immediately, shouting a warning to the team. Physical attacks are completely useless against this slime. They have no choice but to report the situation to the casters. Above, the hooded man smirks, pleased with the perfect timing of the monster's arrival. Thanks to the chaos below, he and his ally have plenty of time to deal with the two girls. He turns and orders Julie to finish this quickly. Julie remains silent. Leaning against a pillar, she steals a quick glance at him. Not far from where she stands, Yuna's panicked screams echo through the air. She still cannot understand how the man in the black shirt managed to break through her barrier. The man answers casually. If he could not even do that, he would not be worthy of being called a player. Before he can say anything else, a burst of fire erupts from behind him. He summons a barrier just in time, shielding himself from the incoming flames. Julie stands with one arm raised, fingers forming the shape of a gun, mana-infused fire still flickering at her fingertips. She fires again, shouting for Yuna to run. Realizing he cannot fight both of them at once, the man shifts his focus, blocking Julie's attacks, which gives Yuna a chance to escape. The hooded man turns toward Julie, clapping his hands in amusement. He did not expect her to be capable of such an attack. Julie, with nowhere to run, lunges backward and unleashes another fire strike, but the hooded man sees it coming. He raises a barrier in an instant, rendering her flames useless. Amused, he calls her a beautiful little doll and tells her to stop wasting energy. Fighting is pointless when they could be doing something far more interesting. Yuna keeps running, leaving Julie alone to deal with him. Hearing his words fills her with rage. She kicks off her heels, rips away the fabric restricting her leg, and glares at him. She refuses to be treated like some doll. She channels her fire again, determined to burn him down, but he acts unimpressed. Her attacks are too predictable. Before he can finish, his eyes widen, and he reacts instantly, summoning a barrier in front of him. But the moment it forms, it shatters. He brushes off the embers clinging to his shoulder, watching her closely. That surge of power, that sudden leap in strength can only mean one thing. She has an amplification gift. The man in the black continues his pursuit as Yuna sprints through the mall. Panting, he follows her into a toy store. Yuna backs up against the shelves, trapped with nowhere left to run. She channels mana into her legs and leaps onto a nearby shelf. Snatching a toy box from below, she hurls it at him, but he reacts instantly, activating a barrier that deflects it with ease. Frustrated, he slams his foot against the shelf, shaking the structure. Yuna loses her balance and begins to fall. Seeing his chance, he channels mana into his hands, aiming to cripple her legs and keep her from escaping. Just before she hits the ground, she activates a barrier of her own, clashing directly against his. The sudden resistance catches him off guard. Now he struggles to hold his defense as her strength surges. She starts counting in her head. With each second, her power builds. When she finally unleashes her energy, the shockwave explodes. Using his barrier as a foothold, she launches herself toward another shelf. Before she lands, he attacks again, but she reacts in time, dodging with precision. In that moment, she remembers Julie's fire attack from earlier. Inspired, she decides to replicate it. Forming her fingers into the shape of a gun, she gathers mana at her fingertips. Confident in the execution, she fires. The glowing projectile, a technique she calls mana bomb, rockets forward faster than he can register. It strikes him directly. A massive explosion tears through the area, thick smoke swallowing everything in its path. Outside the toy store, the hooded man stares in shock. He never expected his partner to be taken down by a mere child. Yuna bursts out of the store, gripping a baseball bat in her hand as she calls for Julie. The hooded man hesitates. Fighting now would be risky, but backing down would mean all his efforts were wasted. Julie spots Yuna approaching and immediately yells for her to stay back. She is about to unleash her full power. But before she can act, the hooded man moves first. A magic circle appears beneath her feet, and chains shoot out, coiling around her legs. As she struggles, he steps forward, uninterested in a fair fight. He grabs her from behind, locking her in place. She thrashes, but his grip holds firm. A sinister grin spreads across his face as he pulls out a dagger, whispering that she never saw this coming. Yuna watches in horror as she realizes Julie is trapped. She moves to step forward, but the hooded man tightens his hold and presses the blade closer, making it clear that if she takes another step, Julie could be seriously hurt. Rage boils inside Yuna, and she almost screams. But before she can react, the man in the black shirt reappears and drives her head into the floor. Yuna stares in shock. That explosion should have killed him, yet he stands there unharmed. The man smirks, as if reading her thoughts, and tells her a mere child could never kill a real player. Pinned to the ground, Yuna is helpless, unable to reach Julie. She watches as Julie calls her name. Just as everything seems lost, a sudden surge of energy erupts from within Yuna. Mana flares uncontrollably, crackling through the air in violent bursts. The black shirt man stumbles back. He never expected this much power from a child. If it continues, she could end up blowing apart the entire area. Still standing, Yuna screams for Julie. At the same time, Julie fights against the hooded man's grip, calling back to her. Frustrated, he warns her to stop struggling, but she refuses. Annoyed, he drives the hilt of his dagger into her stomach. The impact knocks the air from her lungs, and she collapses, unconscious. The hooded man orders his partner to handle Yuna while he takes Julie. The black shirt man sneers, asking if she has a death wish. Without waiting for an answer, he swings, his fist crashing into the side of her head. The impact shatters her barrier completely. Mana disperses and her vision blurs. She struggles to hold on, but darkness swallows her whole. In her unconscious state, Yuna drifts through a familiar void. Memories surface of a past encounter in this same space. A deep, unfamiliar voice had once spoken to her, offering power. She remembers No's warning never to listen to that voice. It was too dangerous. Nothing had happened back then, but if the situation were different next time, no one could predict the outcome. No had promised to help her grow stronger the right way. He had urged Yuna to live a normal life, to never entertain that voice again. As a sign of their pact, Yuna had linked her pinky with No's, sealing their promise. But waking up now, coughing up blood, all she feels is regret. She whispers an apology to No in her heart. This time, she has no choice. She has something she must protect. Her friends, her family, they deserve peace. And if breaking that promise is the only way to ensure it, then so be it. Her hands tremble, but her gaze hardens as she locks eyes with the black shirt man. The man smirks, watching her struggle to stand. He swings, aiming to finish her for good. But before his fist can land, a powerful strike from behind sends him flying. Bruno's punch sends the man in the black shirt tumbling across the floor. Yuna exhales in relief. Bruno, noticing her weakened state, removes his coat and drapes it over her shoulders. He commends her for fighting bravely and reassures her that she can leave the rest to him. Standing like a giant bear, Bruno's overwhelming presence fills the hooded man with fear. In a single step, he closes the distance. Before his opponent can react, Bruno grabs his head and slams it into the ground while lifting Julie's unconscious body into his other arm. The impact shatters the floor beneath them. Nearby, the dagger belonging to the hooded man rolls toward the black shirt guy. He hesitates before picking it up, his eyes flicking to Bruno's trembling hand as he holds Julie. Deep gashes cover her body. The man in black forces himself to move, gripping the dagger as he charges. He lunges forward, shouting for Bruno to die. But Bruno doesn't flinch. His fist swings in a devastating arc, slamming into the man's face and sending him crashing away. Bruno's fury reaches its peak. His voice drips with righteous wrath as he vows to make them pay for what they did to Julie and Yuna. Mana surges through his entire body as he steps forward. The man in black, sprawled on the ground, begs for mercy. But Bruno, consumed by rage, tells him to settle his business in hell. He gathers all his remaining mana into his hand and ends it in a single final blow. A few days earlier, before the attack on the mall, deep within a remote forest, two men argue inside an old shack. One of them, a subordinate, protests against the excessive orders given by a man known as No Name. This group was responsible for forcing Kim Kyung, the Vice Lord, to resign. Frustrated, the subordinate brandishes his spear, vowing to kill No Name and deal with Gil Seong-jun as well. He lunges, unleashing a rapid flurry of strikes. But something is off. No matter how many times he attacks, his target remains untouched. Before he can react, a blade pierces his stomach from behind. Panic sets in as he realizes the truth. No Name's gift is disorder, which distorts perception itself, making it nearly impossible to land a hit. No Name watches calmly as his strength fades, muttering that he talks too much. With a sword in one hand and a rope in the other, No Name wraps the rope around the struggling man's neck and hoists him onto a high beam. As his victim kicks desperately, gasping for air, he tells him he will personally take care of the man's family, especially his wife, and treat her very well. He chuckles darkly as the struggling slows, the legs twitching before going completely still. No Name thanks him for all the hard work, then walks away. A few days later, local authorities discover the subordinate's corpse. Inside the abandoned cabin of Vice Lord Kim Kyung, they find a suicide note, leading them to believe he took an extreme way out. At the mall's logistics warehouse, 6 figures stand waiting. No Name arrives, his sharp gaze sweeping across the room as he asks if anyone else is coming. A young man with a bowl-cut hairstyle steps forward, reporting that Shinhwa clan members have already arrived. Their men who were stationed there earlier have lost contact. Given the situation, they decide to retreat immediately. But before they can leave, the young man with the bowl cut suddenly asks No Name about the child standing behind him. No Name, confused, turns around to see who he is referring to. Adjusting his glasses, he is shocked. No stands behind him and finally speaks, stating that he is glad No Name has noticed his presence. No Name, completely bewildered, questions in his mind who this child really is and how long he has been standing there. Even the bowl-cut-haired subordinate never expected his captain to fail to recognize the child. Assuming it might just be a lost kid, the young man asks No Name why he looks so tense. Since No Name remains silent, the bowl-cut-haired subordinate decides there is only one course of action. He will kill the child with a single slash. He warns No that children should never follow strangers recklessly, as something terrifying might happen. As he prepares to strike, No calmly places his left hand into his pocket, channeling mana into something he holds. The moment the young man swings his sword, No swiftly pulls out a dagger. With a single slash, he cuts through the subordinate's neck, killing him instantly. Blood splatters across the ground. The 5 remaining individuals freeze, their eyes locked on No in shock. Having effortlessly taken down the subordinate, No looks down at the corpse with a blank expression, realizing he shouldn't have killed him so quickly. No Name, who had been standing close, immediately jumps back and commands the remaining 5 to stay on guard. Realizing that the child before them is no ordinary kid, they quickly draw their weapons. No notices their reluctance and smirks. Mocking them, he wonders if they are truly scared of a simple dagger held by a little boy with barely any combat experience. Tilting his head with a playful grin, he calls them a bunch of cowardly chicken. His taunts strike a nerve. 4 of them, now blinded by rage, charge at once. This is exactly what No wanted. Grinning wider, he activates his skill, Heavenly Steps. In an instant, he slashes through all 4 in a single motion. They drop dead before they even realize what happened. Now only No Name remains. No's playful expression fades as he points his dagger at No Name. He asks why No Name is just standing there. If he refuses to move, then he will come to him instead. No Name struggles to process what just happened. A mere child had cut down 4 advanced players in seconds. Attacking recklessly is no longer an option. He quickly channels purple mana throughout his body and dashes at full speed toward No. No watches his movements with a bored expression. The moment No Name swings his blade, No dodges with ease. Lifting his leg, he channels mana into it and delivers a powerful kick to No Name's left arm. The impact sends him staggering back. No observes him with disinterest. Compared to the opponents he will face in the future, No Name's strength is meaningless. Then, without mercy, he states the truth. No one knows No Name because he is insignificant. Hearing this, No Name is consumed by rage. Mana surges wildly around him as he unleashes a relentless barrage of attacks. No is bombarded with slashes from No Name, yet not a single strike manages to touch him. No Name begins to wonder how this kid is dodging every attack so effortlessly. No, still evading with ease, calmly states that he has already experienced this. No Name's special gift proves completely useless against him. No counters. A swift kick to No Name's leg sends him stumbling. He leaps forward and unleashes a flurry of slashes. As his blade cuts through the air, he tells No Name to calm down, assuring him that he has no intention of killing him. No raises his blade above him, and soon the entire room is drenched in blood. After wiping out the last of the enemies, No and Shin step outside the mall. Around them, officers are busy cleaning up, removing bodies of both the terrorists and the innocent victims. Shin stares at the devastation, struggling to believe that the terrorists managed to cause this much havoc. No, hearing this, asks if she was able to capture them. Instead of answering, Shin looks straight at him and states that he now owes her a huge favor. No acknowledges this, promising to repay his debt in the future. He asks Shin to take care of No Name. Shin agrees and begins walking toward No Name. But as Shin approaches, No suddenly hesitates. Something has been bothering him for a long time, and this is his chance to find out the truth. He stops Shin and tells her to wait before reaching for No Name's sunglasses, determined to finally see his face. No Name immediately panics and pleads for him to stop, but No ignores him and pulls off the glasses. The moment his face is revealed, both No and Shin recoil in horror. No struggles to look at it for more than a moment. Shin, standing behind him, looks even worse, barely holding back the urge to vomit. They quickly realize they can't keep staring. No sighs, puts the sunglasses back on No Name, and turns to leave. Just as he starts walking away, someone calls out to him from behind. He turns to see Julie standing there, with Bruno carrying Yuna. He is relieved to see them safe. He rushes toward them, overwhelmed with joy. Not long after, the mall incident becomes a major news story, covered by every media outlet. A reporter on television announces that on December 17th at exactly 3 p.m., a terrorist attack took place inside the mall. The conflict involved summoned monsters and hired players fighting against the terrorists. The leader of the terrorists, identified as No Name, was captured. Shin played a crucial role in their defeat. According to the latest reports, the death toll has reached 23. In response to the tragedy, the Celestial Maiden government issues an official statement expressing deep condolences to the victims. A mysterious man watches the news on his TV. His eyes remain locked on 4 individuals on the screen. A slow, wicked grin spreads across his face. He has finally found them. At a small cafe owned by Young's father, a magical barrier surrounds the cafe, preventing ordinary people from recognizing them. Inside, No and Shin sit across from each other. No responds, saying he wanted to thank her, but there is another reason behind the meeting. He asks what happened to the No Name group. Shin reveals that the entire group has been sentenced to execution, the first ruling of its kind since the Celestial Maiden government was established. No asks about the person who hired them, but Shin only apologizes, stating that she is not in a position to disclose that information. Seeing that Shin has made her stance clear, No backs off. Shin then asks if that was all he wanted to know. No also seeks information about the fate of the Sabyok group. Shin explains that the president, Lee Yoon, has returned, prompting the group's heirs to temporarily withdraw from everything and focus on social welfare services. Shin prepares to leave, stating that she has other matters to investigate. As soon as Shin exits the cafe, Young's father approaches and informs No that the others will be arriving soon. He then asks if she still plans to wait here. No thanks him and decides to stay. In the past, the group's succession war had erupted among 3 sons, with the eldest emerging victorious. Now everything is different. No realizes the extent of the changes he has caused, saving his family from the Kraken attack, preventing the deaths of the kindergarten children, reducing casualties in the mountain incident, stopping the terrorist attack at the mall, and even preventing the succession war within the group. The future is no longer set in stone. For the first time, he feels free from the fate that once led to the deaths of her comrades, including Paring and Lee Jong. By evening, No is at home, having dinner with her family. Taking a deep breath, Yuna announces that she wants to become a player. The moment she speaks, No chokes on his food. The entire family turns to her in shock. A chill runs down his spine as he realizes that this is another unexpected change in the timeline. Naturally, No rejects the idea outright. He slams a hand on the table, as he tells Yuna that becoming a player is nothing but a reckless decision. It is not meant for her, but Yuna refuses to back down. She argues that No will never understand unless he lets her try. No clenches his fists. He cannot deny Yuna's potential, but he never trained her to become a player. He only taught her to control mana. He wanted her to live a long, healthy life, far removed from the dangers of that world. Yuna refuses to back down, insisting that this is what she wants. Their parents sit in silence. Frustrated, No demands to know why Yuna is so eager to abandon her normal life. The life of a player is not glamorous or respected. It is filled with blood, sweat, and suffering. But even after hearing all of this, Yuna stands firm. No matter how difficult it is, she wants to save people. She does not want to spend her life being protected, watching helplessly from the sidelines while others fight. Their argument drags on until their mother finally intervenes. With a sigh, she tells Yuna that if this is truly what she wants, she is free to pursue it. No snaps, shouting in frustration. The outburst startles their younger sibling, who bursts into tears. Their mother immediately scolds No for raising his voice and comforts Yunai. With tearful eyes, the little one looks up at No and mutters that she hates him. No turns to his parents again, demanding to know if they truly have no issue with Yuna becoming a player. Their mother explains that while they do not fully understand how dangerous a player's life is, they will still support Yuna if this is what she truly desires. Their father agrees, believing in Yuna's capability and trusting her to make the right decisions. Hearing their approval, Yuna gets up and embraces them both, thanking them for believing in her. No watches in silence. If their parents have already decided, he no longer has the right to oppose it. The meeting room is now crowded with people. The president calls on Seo-jong to present the gathered facts. Seo-jong begins by explaining the terrorist attack that took place in the mall, clarifying that the assault was not just an external attack, but an internal conflict within the Sabyok group itself. He then outlines the group's hierarchy as they currently understand it. The power struggle revolves around the 3 sons of the chairman Lee Yoon. The youngest has the weakest support, while the real competition is between the eldest and the second son. The eldest, Lee Byung, is known for his ruthless nature. Many doubt his legitimacy as heir, believing that simply being the firstborn is not enough to make him a worthy successor. The second son, Lee Jong, is completely different. Well-mannered and highly skilled in management, he is seen as a more capable leader. Based on this, they speculate that the terrorist attack may have been linked to Li Byong, who ordered the attack on a business managed by Li Zhong. The elder asks if the chairman is aware of such details. They agree, saying that the chairman reappeared from exile and returned to management immediately after the attack. Seojong continues, pointing out that Li Byong's financial power did not just fund mercenary players from no name. He likely hired the Ocean Clan. The mention of their name sends a wave of shock through the room. Records confirm that 92 hounds were captured during the Bukhan incident. Although 70% of the magic stones extracted from these monsters were secured, the remaining 30% circulated into the market. The investigation has revealed that these same magic stones were used by the terrorists in the recent mall attack. Seojong's explanation leads the leader to consider the possibility that the terrorists deliberately waited for the market price of magic stones to rise before executing their plan. Seojong responds that level 7 magic stones are neither refined nor filtered, making them easily accessible. The leader then questions whether the Ocean Clan could have been the ones to purchase and weaponize the leaked magic stones. Seojong states that their clan has thoroughly investigated the market circulation of these stones. If the Ocean Clan obtained them, it was likely through a secondary source, meaning their information might still be incomplete. A deep silence fills the room before the leader speaks again. Earlier this year, in April, Shin discovered that her husband, Gil Seong-jun, was having an affair with an heir from the Dangun group. Now the truth behind Gil Seong-jun's intentions has become clear. He must sever ties with the Dangun group and fully commit himself to Saebyok. This is the reason for today's meeting. The elder questions whether they are preparing for war. The leader responds, stating that war might not be the worst option. However, another man sitting nearby raises a serious concern. Divine Tempest is also a member from the Ocean Clan. A bald man speaks up, countering that the Ocean Clan is not the only one with 12 sovereign members. Their side has the Thunder Emperor. However, another man argues that this might not be enough. The Thunder Emperor is still too young. No matter how much of a genius he is, it would be difficult for him to match Divine Tempest in battle. The leader stops the idea of war but refuses to let the Ocean Clan go unpunished. Instead, she makes a decisive announcement. They will fully support Li Zhong, the second son, as the rightful heir, and organize a meeting to teach the Ocean Clan a lesson. It is now the 4th year of Celestial Maiden's rule, and No has moved up to the 2nd grade of elementary school. Minji finds it annoying that the 5 of them are still together. Seona agrees, though she had initially worried that they might be separated. Despite this, No hopes he will not have to see Sina again this year. That way, he can finally feel at ease, knowing he will not have to deal with her in the future. While No is lost in thought, Choi, sitting beside him, leans in and whispers. He points out the group of 4 boys at the next table, their eyes fixed on No and his friends. Their expressions alone make it clear they are troublemakers. Choi, irritated by their intense stares, considers confronting them for being so rude. But No, unwilling to invite unnecessary trouble, tells him to ignore them. Instead, he glances at the 4 boys. The moment their eyes meet, they quickly look away. Their reaction seems strange, but before No can dwell on it, Minji reminds him of the ongoing misunderstanding. Rumors have spread that Choi's father beat up Sina's father, the president of KK Pharmaceuticals. Because of this, the entire school is now too afraid to even meet his gaze. No wonders how he and his father ended up being painted as villains. Seona looks concerned, but No reassures her that he does not care about the rumors. What surprises No the most, however, is Choi's drastic change. He used to be short, but now he is much taller. He asks what Choi has been eating to grow so much. Choi simply replies that he has been training under the boss's instructions. As part of his training, he also drank the juice made by Young's father. Hearing this, No is even more puzzled. He remembers telling Minji and Seona to drink the juice because it helped restore mana energy, but he had no idea it also boosted physical growth. Now, he is the shortest among them. Frustrated, he decides to start drinking a full glass of that juice every day. Not long after, the sound of footsteps fills the air as the teacher walks in. The teacher introduces himself as Do-hoon, their homeroom teacher for the year. Just from his aura and mana presence, No can tell he is no ordinary person. Later in the afternoon, the old man in the library asks his assistant for a report on recent events. The assistant informs him that the parents who attempted to have Jin Seona expelled, arguing that she is a demi-human, have been completely removed from the school. Everything has been handled according to his orders. Satisfied, he praises his assistant's efficiency, but his thoughts linger on KK Pharmaceuticals and their failed attempt to manipulate class placements and separate the children. Thanks to his team's efforts, they managed to counteract the company's interference and keep Jung in the same class as the others. He then asks about KK Pharmaceuticals. The old man, Min-jun, finds it ridiculous that they would go to such extreme lengths to target a child he considers as precious as his own grandchild. Minjun asks his assistant again about the class arrangement. The assistant explains that they have assigned a former player who retired due to a severe injury. Despite this, he assures Minjun that the individual remains highly competent in education. Minjun asks where this person was previously assigned. The assistant responds that, according to what he has heard, the individual was once part of the regulars agency. If this person was part of such an elite organization, then he must be reliable. Looking at the documents in his hands, the old man confirms the teacher's full name. The old man recalls asking Jung whom she wanted to be in the same class with after moving up to the second year. She had said she wanted to stay with her friends. However, since her father had told her that it would be difficult, she had accepted whatever fate had in store for her. Since this was her wish, Minjun had promised to make it happen. After closing the book, the old man reflects on how unexpectedly interesting this situation has become. He had been reading alone, but now he has a child he wants to treat as his own grandchild. In an abandoned building, No and Yuna wait for Shin. Yuna is surprised to learn that No knows her well. Hesitantly, she explains that they became close after meeting at the cafe. A gentle breeze begins to blow, signaling Shin's arrival. Manipulating the wind, Shin turns the breeze into a small tornado to clear the space. After a few moments, the whirlwind fades, and footsteps echo in the distance. Shin lands in front of them and apologizes for making them wait. No, clearly annoyed, replies that they have waited far too long. Shin calls No picky and reminds her that plenty of people would be desperate to meet someone like her. Meanwhile, Yuna respectfully greets Shin. Shin responds, telling her not to use titles like 12 Sovereigns or Divine Tempest, but to simply call her Big Sister. At that moment, Shin secretly activates her detection ability. Immediately, she senses something shocking. Yuna's mana reserves are enormous. Even though she is controlling it, the sheer amount inside her is far beyond normal. Shin realizes that once others discover Yuna's potential, they will rush to claim her as their own, including herself. No asks Shin to hand over the item he requested earlier. Shin nods, confirming that she brought it. Among the items she has brought are a storage device and a mana stone. Inspecting the mana stone carefully, No finds them in perfect condition. Turning to Yuna, No asks if she is truly ready to become a player. Yuna responds with complete confidence. Seeing no objections, No finally stops resisting her decision. No retrieves a longsword from the storage device provided by Shin, but before she can use it, No states that she must first pass a test. Yuna accepts without hesitation. No warns her to be careful while handling the device, and Yuna assures that she understands completely. Watching the exchange, Shin smiles at how much No cares for his older sister. No channels mana into one of the stones, ensuring it is fully charged before throwing it far away. The stone begins to emit a blue glow, illuminating everything around them. Black smoke rises from the glowing stone, and from the darkness, a small monster emerges. It lets out a sharp cry, its long ears twitching as its pink skin glows faintly. Despite its intimidating entrance, the small creature looks almost adorable. This monster is classified as an 8th class beast, known as Porori. Yuna, still trembling, stares at it in confusion. It looks too cute to be a real monster. No confirms that it is indeed a monster called Porori. Regardless of how harmless it seems, Yuna's task is to kill it. But faced with its innocent appearance, she hesitates. No understands that Yuna is determined to become a player, but she also wants her to realize that this path is filled with suffering. Yuna cautiously steps forward. The small monster hops toward her. Completely mesmerized by its cuteness, she starts believing it poses no threat. No shouts for her to stay alert and rushes toward her. Yuna looks at him in confusion, unaware of the danger. The cute monster's aura shifts. Its mouth stretches open unnaturally wide, revealing sharp fangs as it lunges at her. Before it can reach her, No delivers a brutal kick, sending it flying across the room. The impact is so strong that the creature is instantly defeated. Yuna, still shaken, listens as No scolds her. If she judges monsters by their appearance, she will be killed easily. She lowers her head, unable to respond. No asks if she wants to continue. Yuna doesn't answer right away. Instead, she thinks about all the times No and Julie have protected her from danger. She doesn't want to be someone who always needs saving. She wants to be strong enough to protect others too. She finally responds. She wants to continue. She refuses to let fear control her. After cutting down another monster, her sword drips with purple monster blood. Her grip weakens, and the weapon slips from her hands. Her legs shake violently before giving out, and she collapses to the ground. Shin, watching from the side, is shocked that Yuna managed to succeed after 15 rounds. Meanwhile, No rushes to her side. Yuna sits on the ground, breathing heavily, her hands trembling as she stares at them, covered in blood. No immediately embraces her, offering reassurance. Shin, seeing this, is reminded of her own past and the harsh reality of becoming a player. She understands better than anyone how difficult it is to reach this level. In the end, a player must always be strong. A few days later, in their 3rd grade classroom, the homeroom teacher arrives with a box of milk cartons. The teacher instructs the class president to step outside and bring in the exact number needed for the students present. Once they finish drinking, they are expected to return the empty cartons to the box. The students understand the instructions, and the class president quickly organizes them into a line to distribute the milk. Each student receives a carton, including No, who politely thanks the class president. This routine reminds him of Baek Leon, who also disliked drinking milk. Back then, No had taken it upon himself to encourage Baek Leon, telling her to drink milk so she could grow taller. He snaps back to reality when Choi whispers to him and discreetly places something in his hand. No looks down and realizes it is a magic item that can transform regular milk into chocolate milk. He asks where Choi got it. Choi replies that he secretly bought it that morning while visiting a general store. No hesitates and asks what would happen if they were caught by the teacher. Choi confidently reminds him of what he has always taught him, that they should not fear punishments from teachers. No silently agrees, realizing he may have unintentionally influenced Choi's way of thinking. Since they have already decided to break the rules, he takes the item from Choi and prepares to mix it into their milk. Choi grins and praises him. Before they can drink it, Choi notices an announcement printed on the milk carton. No glances at it and pauses. The message is a request asking children to pray for the safety of their compatriots suffering in Italy. This reminds No that this must be the year when people in Italy were experiencing severe hardships. Later, during recess, No walks alone toward Yuna's classroom. As he climbs the stairs, his thoughts drift back to yesterday's events. He still feels guilty for making Yuna cry. He hopes Yuna doesn't get depressed. As he turns a corner in the hallway, he collides with someone. A senior with yellow hair, who had been messing around with his friends, glares at him. The senior questions why he is here, pointing out that he is clearly not a 6th grade student. His friends approach from behind, joining in. No, already fed up with unnecessary trouble, sighs. He considers this just another ridiculous problem, which only fuels the yellow-haired senior's anger. One of his friends says that since No bumped into their leader, he should be the one to apologize. Another senior sneers, calling No arrogant before demanding to know which class he belongs to. No studies the yellow-haired senior closely. He looks oddly familiar. If his memory is correct, this is Lee Kang-hyuk, a player known for controlling the back alleys in Seongbuk District. Despite lacking exceptional talent as a player, Kang-hyuk had a sharp understanding of people's weaknesses, allowing him to manipulate his subordinates with ease. His organization controlled all information regarding the slum areas of Seongbuk District. Kang-hyuk has lived in Seongbuk since childhood. No wonders if that is the reason he was able to establish an intelligence group here. One of them pushes No's back and scoffs that kids these days are too arrogant. The senior with yellow hair grabs No by the collar and lifts him slightly. A crowd gathers, watching the scene. Many cheer for Kang-hyuk, urging him to put the arrogant kid in his place. No, unsure how to deal with these so-called strong seniors, briefly considers threatening them. At that moment, a powerful surge of blue mana rises from behind him. Just as the senior pulls back his fist to swing, the blue energy condenses into a massive snapping force, ready to send him flying. Before No's attack can land, a familiar voice calls out from a distance. No immediately recognizes Yuna, rushes toward them and stops Kang-hyuk in his tracks. She commands him to stop. Flustered, Kang-hyuk tries to explain. No, on the other hand, feels a sudden surge of anger. This guy dares to like his older sister. The thought alone is infuriating, and for a moment, he even considers killing Kang-hyuk on the spot. The two seniors behind No step forward, claiming that No had rudely bumped into Kang-hyuk earlier without apologizing, and that they were simply teaching him a lesson for his arrogance. She questions why they think they have the right to discipline her younger brother. The word younger brother makes Kang-hyuk freeze. Yuna steps forward and fixes No's disheveled collar. She had expected something like this to happen and is clearly frustrated. Under their intense stare, Kang-hyuk awkwardly scratches the back of his head, lets out a nervous chuckle, and apologizes. He tries to justify their actions, saying they were not thinking straight today, and promises it will not happen again. Repeatedly, he apologizes and asks if No is hurt. Hearing him act concerned only makes Yuna more irritated. She grabs No's hand and walks away. As they leave, Kang shouts after them, wishing Yuna a good day. Kang also tells No that if anyone dares to bother him, he will personally take care of them. His words make No even more annoyed. Once they have walked far enough, No suddenly asks if Yuna likes that guy. Yuna is confused by how he refers to Kang as he is actually older than him, but No seems serious as he asks again if Yuna really likes him. Yuna does not respond and simply walks ahead in silence. Then Yuna abruptly turns, faces No and smiles. She tells him that the person she likes the most is No, so he does not have to worry about her being taken away by another guy. Saying this, she offers to walk him back to class. A few days earlier, No's grandmother walks through the heavy rain, a bag of fresh vegetables in her hands. She just returned from the market, but as she makes her way home alone, She thinks it has been a long time since No and Yuna visited. She was overjoyed to see how much they had grown, and even little Yunai is already 3 years old. As she continues walking, she passes a narrow alley. From inside, the faint sound of coughing reaches her ears. She stops, hesitating for a moment, unsure if she misheard. Then she hears it again, clearer this time. Turning her head toward the alley, she sees a dumpster at the source of the sound. Cautiously, she steps forward and lifts the lid. Inside, she finds a child, a demi-human with blue hair and animal-like ears. The sight shocks her. The lid slips from her hands as she realizes this boy has been abandoned here. She kneels beside him and gently reaches out. But the moment she touches his skin, she flinches, realizing he is freezing. Feeling the touch of a human, the young demi-human remembers the cruel words of the men who captured him. They had planned to sell him off, and if no one bought him, they would use him as a punching bag. When he was no longer useful, they dumped him like garbage. Terrified, he instinctively slaps the grandmother's hand away and tries to crawl out of the dumpster, desperate to escape. But in his weakened state, he stumbles and collapses onto the ground. Seeing him struggle, the grandmother grows even more worried. She takes a step toward him, but he spits out hateful words, telling her to stay away. Instead of being angered, she only becomes more concerned. She takes a step closer. The boy, overwhelmed with fear, covers his head with both hands, expecting a beating. But after a moment, he realizes the rain is no longer falling on him. Slowly, he opens his eyes and sees the old woman holding out her umbrella to shield him. With a hesitant voice, she offers to take him home. In the present, No and the family visit their grandmother's house. She is already waiting at the front door, delighted to see how much they have grown. Their mother, standing beside them, sighs and mutters her jealousy. Amused that No still acts so childishly around the old woman despite behaving much more maturely at home. It makes her feel a bit left out. No, hearing this, forces a nervous laugh and pretends to be surprised. Grandma chuckles and tells her daughter that she is acting like a kid. Grandma then turns to their father, teasing that it must be exhausting to live with her daughter. Meanwhile, Yunai clings tightly to her mother. Sensing this, Grandma kneels down and gently greets her, reminding her that they met last year. Yunai doesn't seem to remember at first, but slowly starts recognizing her face. Grandma with a warm smile asks how old she is now. Yunai lets go of her mother, runs over to Grandma and holds up 3 fingers. Beaming with pride, she announces that she is now 3 years old. Grandma's eyes light up with joy. Yunai giggles, thrilled to receive such praise. Watching their interaction, No smiles to himself. Grandma invites them inside, offering to order their favorite fried chicken. Yuna and No agree without hesitation. As they step into the yard, No suddenly senses an unusual mana presence. Something feels off. He activates his detection ability, narrowing his eyes. Just as they are about to enter, he warns Yuna to stop walking. In the distance, he spots an unfamiliar energy form. At first, he assumes it belongs to a monster, but something about it feels different. The energy is too tame. It could be a thief. Without making a sound, No presses a finger to his lips, signaling Yuna to stay quiet. If someone has broken into Grandma's house, they need to be careful. Carefully, he peeks through the door and spots the creature inside. Strangely, its body does not seem nearly as large as the energy it is giving off. Its ears twitch while its nose sniffs the air. Seeing an opening in its awareness, No realizes this is his chance. He quickly pushes open the door and leaps forward, aiming a punch. The impact causes a loud noise inside the house, instantly catching the attention of the adults outside. Startled, they rush inside to check what just happened. No demands to know why the boy is here. The boy, confused, looks at him and asks if his chicken has arrived yet. No instinctively steps back. Then, as recognition sets in, he mutters the boy's name, Jin Parang. Later that night, after Grandma explains everything in detail, No's parents finally understand the situation. Grandma explains that she had planned to tell them once they arrived from the city, which is why she only revealed this now. At another table, No, Parang, and Yuna eat fried chicken together. As they eat, No suddenly remembers that this was the area where Parang lived. He never imagined their connection would start this way, with his grandmother deciding to take Jin Parang in and let him stay at her house. Noticing No staring at him, Parang grows irritated. He demands to know why he is being watched while eating, making it clear that the fried chicken in his hands belongs to him, and he has no intention of sharing. Grandma scolds him immediately, reminding him to watch his language. Parang falls silent, but No keeps staring at him. She reassures him that if his food runs out, she will get him more. Parang mutters under his breath, calling her an old hag. No clenches his fists in anger. Seeing him this rude to his grandmother, he never expected him to be even worse than his past life. He decides to fix his attitude, starting now. No grabs a soda bottle from the table and politely asks his grandmother for permission to take Parang outside to play. Parang looks at him, unable to comprehend why No suddenly wants to go outside with him. With suspicion in his voice, he demands to know why he has to play alone with him. Before Parang can finish complaining, Grandma interrupts and grants No permission, seeing it as a good way for them to bond. As No and Parang get ready to leave, Yuna eagerly asks to join, but before she can move, No tells her to stay behind. No moves behind Parang and orders him to move, but despite No's insistence, Parang refuses, making it clear he has no interest in playing with him. Frustrated by his stubbornness, No grabs the back of his shirt and gives him a sharp, threatening look. He tells Parang to stop making excuses and come with him immediately. No, losing patience, drags him out of the house. Once they are far enough, No suddenly throws him in the middle of the street. Parang groans from the impact. When he finally recovers, he opens his eyes and sees his fried chicken on the ground. His face twists in despair. No says people don't avoid disturbing dogs out of respect, but because they are afraid of being bitten. With that, he snaps his fingers, and a glowing barrier instantly forms around them, encasing them in a dome. Parang's eyes widen as he stares in shock. The reason for the barrier is simple. No doesn't want to be interrupted or overheard. Inside the barrier, No looks directly at Parang and tells him he isn't a dog, but judging by how he spoke rudely to Grandma earlier, he doesn't seem much like a human either. He is going to teach Parang how to live like a proper human. Hearing this, Parang demands to know if No is trying to pick a fight. Deep down, he already dislikes him, and this situation only makes it worse. But No doesn't care. He lunges, moving with incredible speed. Parang fails to dodge in time. The first strike lands directly on him, and he screams in pain. The bottle might look ordinary, but to Parang, every impact feels like being struck by cannonballs. Between the relentless attacks, No forces a lesson in respect upon him. He reminds Parang to show gratitude to the woman who took him in, gave him food, let him sleep in her house, and even cared for his injuries. No finally pauses, allowing Parang to catch his breath. He collapses onto the ground, barely able to move, but No is still furious. He hasn't forgotten the way Parang insulted Grandma, calling her an old hag. His mana surges, growing stronger. He resumes the beating, delivering another round of brutal strikes. Parang screams for help, desperately hoping someone will hear him. But no matter how much he yells, his voice will never reach the outside. No reminds him that the barrier blocks all sound. No one will come to save him. No taunts him, saying that if he really wants help, he should try using telepathy to contact the adults. Parang freezes. He can't use telepathy. He is only 10 years old, far too young to have learned something like that. At that moment, No suddenly recalls something. Parang once bragged that when he was 10 years old, he could already use telepathy. Swinging the bottle again, No asks if he deserves another hit for that deception. The sound of his voice, the force of his blows, and Parang's desperate cries remain trapped inside the dome. The next day, Parang kneels on all fours in the family's house, still feeling the pain of No's strikes in places no one can see. When No's parents ask his age and what grade he is in, he admits he has never been to school. Parang hesitates, but he forces himself to finish his sentence before falling silent. No remembers hearing about how Parang was bullied at the academy. No steps closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. He offers to have Parang join his class. No insists that the second grade would be fine. No pressures him to agree while his mother asks for her opinion. Unable to refuse, he reluctantly accepts, which makes No happy. Grandma comments on how quickly the boys have found common ground, and his mother agrees. No turns to Parang, who is trying to avoid him. Grabbing him by the collar, No drags him along, suggesting they walk a little longer. Parang protests, but it's already too late. The celestial maiden, Gael, sits at a table while two guards stand nearby. Across from her, the Italian ambassadors, Albert and Genko, discuss their plan to help thousands of Koreans return to their homeland. Albert lays out a condition. They must first eliminate the monster in the North Atlantic. The strongest creature among the first-rank monsters, powerful enough to destroy a nation. First-rank monster Leviathan. Gael calmly takes a sip of tea and asks if they would be satisfied with simply supplying soldiers with potions. Albert acknowledges the potion's incredible effectiveness and ease of use, then says they already agreed to trade Mediterranean mana steel for the potions. Gael agrees it is an unneeded item for them then. Genko lifts a leg infused with energy and shatters the table. Gael orders her guards not to hesitate, while Albert hurriedly pleads for help with the Leviathan in exchange for her people. Gael stays calm, asking for a tissue to wipe her lips after finishing her tea. Albert warns Genko not to go too far, but Genko refuses to stop. He claims his words must be true since Gael has not denied them. He then insults Koreans, saying all they care about is kimchi. One of Gael's guards clenches his fists in anger, but she remains unbothered. Then, a heavy pressure fills the room. With just one sentence, Gael forces both ambassadors to their knees. Genko collapses, while Albert grips the table to stay upright. She agrees to Albert's conditions, promising to help retrieve the Koreans trapped in Italy. In return, she pledges full support, sending the Divine Spear, Namgung, and two other elite players to assist. After making her decision, Gael snaps her fingers, lifting the heavy pressure from the room. Both men, drenched in cold sweat, sit frozen in shock. Albert slams his palm on the table, accusing her of going too far, but she calmly responds that if they have complaints, they are free to voice them. She warns that she will report their behavior to the International Manhwa Administration, making it clear that South Korea will not tolerate disrespect. Genko, unable to hold back his anger, pulls out his device and summons a long sword, shouting that he will kill every South Korean representative. Albert tries to stop him, but before they can act, a wave of freezing mana explodes in front of them. Genko's right leg is instantly trapped in ice, pinning him to the ground. Fear takes over as his instincts warn him that any movement will mean death. The source of this power stands before them. Seeing Genko frozen in fear, Gayul remarks that at least he is not completely foolish. She ends the meeting and orders them to leave. As the doors close behind them, Genko is left seething, powerless to do anything. Inside the Blue House, the maiden's personal guard advises her to be cautious. He reminds her that she is no longer just a famous actress but the celestial maiden of Korea and must act accordingly. She looks at her guard, Park Sang-jin, and asks if he speaks as her bodyguard or as her former manager. Sang-jin stays silent. Another guard snickers, mocking him for not understanding women. The goddess turns to the blonde-haired guard, Lee Jung-hyun, and warns him against mocking his colleague, especially since he failed to submit an important report on time. She demands it immediately. Jung-hyun quickly apologizes and hands it over. He reports that the Italians sent a Maserati Gran Turismo as a gift. The goddess does not recognize the name, so Jung-hyun explains that it is a luxury car, popular with Big Mama, meant to symbolize friendship between Italy and South Korea. He adds that Big Mama might be more reasonable than the ambassadors they dealt with earlier. The maiden and Sang-jin remain silent, thinking. Then she orders Jung-hyun to return the Maserati and deliver a message. She does not need such gifts. He hesitates, trying to change her mind, but she ignores him. She has never met Big Mama, but the information she has gathered paints her unkind and possibly hostile. The two ambassadors sent earlier were enough proof. Big Mama is either planning something or looking down on South Korea. With this in mind, she orders Jung-hyun to assign his most trusted agents to monitor the Italian ambassador. He must report any suspicious activity immediately. Jung-hyun understands and leaves. Once he is gone, the maiden walks to the window. Sang-jin, standing nearby, feels relieved that the negotiations went better than expected. She agrees. It was all thanks to the potions from Alice Pharmaceuticals. Their debt to the company is undeniable, especially to one engineer, Jung Soo-kun. She plans to properly thank him once their dealings with Italy are settled. Sang-jin agrees to relay the message, but warns that provoking the Italian ambassador could be dangerous. Gail looks at him and asks if he is speaking as her bodyguard or something else. Sang-jin falls silent. She dismisses his concern. In the next room, the divine spear is ready. If anything happens, it will be the ambassador's fault. Julie walks home glowing with happiness. She visited the hospital earlier and received life-changing news. She is 6 weeks pregnant. Overwhelmed with joy, she looks up at the blue sky, watching a plane soar above. She pulls out her phone and calls Bruno. Meanwhile, not far away, Yunho and his friends cross the street. Hearing Julie's cheerful voice, Bruno is confused and asks if she has eaten. Julie, eager to share her news but wanting to tell him in person, decides to wait. As soon as the call ends, Julie can hardly contain her excitement. She cannot wait to see Bruno's reaction when he hears the news. But just as she stares at her phone, a voice calls out her full name, Julie Valentine. She looks up in shock. Genko is standing before her, casually strolling closer. He greets her, commenting on how beautiful she has become. Julie steps back, but before she can escape, Albert and 2 others block her path. Genko swiftly covers her mouth to silence her. Their intentions are clear. They plan to take her back to her prison. Not long after, Julie calls Bruno again. Sensing something is wrong, he hesitates before answering. This time, she only thanks him for everything and tells him not to look for her anymore. Bruno jumps from his seat, shouting Julie's name in shock. Julie grips the phone, her hands trembling as she struggles to speak. Sitting beside her, Genko praises her, saying a princess must let go of love for the sake of a normal life. Meanwhile, No and her friends visit an ice cream shop. Jung suggests hanging out at her house, mentioning her father's cafe has great air conditioning. Seona eagerly agrees, but No and Minji decide to stop by their houses first before heading to the cafe. Minji warns No not to waste time playing around and end up late again. She still remembers how frustrating it was the last time No lost track of time. On their way home, they witness something alarming, Julie being forced into a car. At first, No is confused, but as he looks closer at the people surrounding Julie, he recognizes them. One face stands out the most, the man with orange hair, Genko. He wonders why someone like him is here. He recalls reading about Korea and Italy's diplomatic relations months ago. The mission assigned was an overrank Class 2 mission. The goal was to subdue Leviathan and rescue Korean citizens trapped in Italy. To ensure success, The maiden government even sent 3 members of the 12 sovereigns. Korea suffered greatly after the mission. Their strongest player, Divine Spear, returned with his left arm gone. Railgun, Shin Myung, became permanently disabled due to the after effects of Mana Berserk. But the worst fate belonged to the florist, Bang Yeonji. Officially, he was declared dead. But the truth was worse. He was taken prisoner in Italy by Genko, the same man who once came to Korea as an ambassador. Behind the scenes, he tortured Bang Yeonji for his own amusement. When this was exposed, global outrage followed, forcing Big Mama to intervene. Genko was publicly executed, putting an end to the scandal. Now, No stands frozen. The man was with Julie. He hands his bag to Minji, telling her to stay put no matter what. Minji, confused, asks where she is going, but No only repeats, "Stay here, don't follow." No tightens his laces, ready to move. He plans to track their car and contact Shin or Bruno once he knows their destination. Mana surges through his legs, and he sprints forward at full speed. Minji barely reacts before No vanishes into the streets. He follows the car's path, stopping abruptly when he sees it parked ahead, as if waiting for him. Albert is surprised to see a child approaching. Genko, who had sensed someone earlier, looks disappointed. No, equally surprised, realizes they knew he was following them. Genko steps out, closing the distance between them. Without warning, he swings a punch at his head. No blocks just in time, but the force sends him stumbling back. Activating his mana, he steadies himself before hitting the ground. His gaze locks onto Genko. Genko hadn't expected a child to use mana so effortlessly. Muttering to himself, he wonders if all Korean kids are this skilled. Albert quickly dismisses Genko's assumption, warning him that the kid in front of him is no ordinary child. Genko grins, as if finally deciding what to do. Planting his feet, he lunges forward, aiming to end it with a single kick. No barely dodges, stepping aside as the attack whizzes past. He gathers mana around his legs, enhancing her movements, and dashes for a counterattack. He aims a powerful kick at Genko's head, but he predicts his move and dodges at the last second. Spinning around, he lunges for his throat. Dodging midair is nearly impossible, but No makes a split-second decision. He channels more mana into his legs and launches a second, stronger kick to send him flying. Just before it lands, Genko raises a barrier. No uses it as a foothold, propels himself into the air, and gathers mana in his hands, forming a sphere. He hurls it straight at his barrier. Genko pulls back just in time, reducing the attack's impact. The mana sphere barely grazes him. No lands, breathing heavily. Genko flexes his wrist, now aware of the kid's surprising mana control. But no matter how skilled he is, he's still just a child. Without warning, he erases his presence and vanishes, reappearing behind him in an instant. Before he can react, his hand clamps around his throat, lifting him off the ground. He didn't expect fighting a kid to be this entertaining. No gasps, struggling. He channels mana into his hands, but before he can act, his grip tightens, cutting off his air. Genko reminds him he's not the only one who can use mana. No's vision blurs. If he doesn't break free soon, he'll die. He forces himself to keep fighting, clawing desperately at his hand. Just as he's about to lose consciousness, a voice shouts. Julie steps out of the car, telling Genko to stop. She reminds him of their agreement, not to harm anyone she knows. Genko hesitates. Genko tightens his grip around No's throat. Albert steps in, firmly telling Genko to stop. For a moment, Genko hesitates before finally releasing No, insulting Albert and Julie. No collapses, coughing, while Genko walks away toward his car without another glance. Julie rushes to No, relieved he is still breathing. She thanks him for stepping in, but warns him not to interfere again. No ignores her and demands to know what is really going on. Julie remains silent before slipping a ring from her finger and handing it to him. She tells him to take it to Uncle Bruno and apologize to her husband on her behalf. No hesitates at Julie's sudden request, but before he can respond, she speaks first, saying she is happy with her marriage to Bruno. She turns and walks toward Genko. No calls out to her, but she ignores him. Frustrated, he rushes forward, shouting at Genko to move. Before he can react, Genko grabs his head and hurls him into a trash bin. No crashes hard onto the ground. Genko then gets into the car with his group and drives away, leaving No behind. Lying there, No stares at the ground. In this timeline, he saved his family, protected his friends. Everything that was supposed to happen has changed. Slowly, he pushes himself up, clenching his fists. He fought too hard to escape the future he was meant to have. Julie is part of that happiness. His gaze falls on the ring she gave him, and he grips it tightly. Meanwhile, young Sukun is in his cafe, exhausted after working all day. The government has assigned him a potion production quota, and he wonders if he can meet it without sacrificing more sleep. His wife approaches with a glass of water. When she asks if something is wrong, he reassures her, though he feels overwhelmed. His phone rings. Seeing No's name, he answers. No apologizes for calling so suddenly, but Sukun tells him it's fine. He quickly explains that something serious has happened and asks for his help. Meanwhile, Yuna and Shin train together. Shin channels her mana into a tree, making it grow as its roots push through the ground. Then, with a snap of her fingers, the roots twist and surge toward Yuna like living vines. Yuna moves swiftly, dodging every strike from the tree's roots with ease. Shin watches, impressed by how much she has improved. Deciding to test her further, Shin conjures a tornado. As Yuna evades the relentless roots, a sudden gust of wind surges toward her. She is swept up into the violent storm, struggling to break free. Shin starts to doubt her earlier judgment. But then, instead of panicking, Yuna channels her mana, forming a surfboard-like platform beneath her feet. In an instant, she rides the storm itself, gliding through the raging winds. Yuna shouts in frustration at Shin. Shin remains calm, explaining that real training should feel like a real battle. Deep down, she is impressed. Escaping her tornado was no small feat, but now she is curious how Yuna will handle what comes next. Shin instantly disperses the tornado. Yuna loses balance and falls from her mana surfboard, but quickly gathers mana beneath her, forming a mana jelly that softens her landing. Without wasting time, she gets up and charges at Shin. Shin immediately launches another attack. She shapes her mana into a bullet and fires. Yuna reacts instantly, summoning her jelly shield just in time to block it. Shin is impressed. Yuna had used her mana in creative ways, showing impressive imagination. Just as Yuna reaches her, she drops her jelly barrier, certain of her victory. But before she can react, her body freezes in place. She struggles in confusion as thick tree roots coil around her leg and lift her off the ground. Dangling helplessly, Yuna looks down at Shin, who acknowledges her progress but remains strict. When Yuna admits defeat and asks to be let down, Shin refuses, reminding her that escaping is also part of the training. Shin's phone rings and she is surprised to see the call. She briefly wonders if he has caused trouble again.